Life before cloud
Welcome back
back.
to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
God, I keep forgetting you.
Thanks.
Today we are joined by two good friends of ours and two absolutely amazing creators. Over here we have Gory B Movie and Danny of Horror Addicts TV. How you doing tonight, guys?
Great.
Doing good.
We are so excited to have you. A little bit about them. I do have all their social media links as well as YouTube links down here in the description. So make sure you're giving them a follow. Make sure you're subscribing to their YouTube. Let's start with you, Gory. What's a little bit you can tell us about Gory B Movies?
On my channel, I tend to focus on a lot of movies that maybe you haven't seen before. I like kind of obscure movies, classics that have gotten forgotten over the years, cheesy B movies. I also like to do real versus real just because I did a review once. That's my phone. I'm so sorry. I did a review once where everyone was like, "You're so mean. It's a true story." And I'm like, you know how many of these are actually true stories? So I started a series where I compare the real story to the movie, tell you if it's true. So, yeah. And then lately I've just been doing all kinds of, I got a whole bunch of Scream videos coming up.
For sure. And we get that. It's definitely... Our Didn't See That Coming up next month is on Scream. So I definitely understand that one too.
And on my channel, Gory will still make appearances. She still helps me with unboxings and Let's Go Sees. But then I do like a bunch of crazy reviews for a lot of B movies as well. On full moons, I like to do reviews for the full moon movies. I haven't done one in a while, but I'm hoping to get back into it again.
I want the Puppet Master.
So
I was just gonna say we just bought the Puppet Master box set. So
Ooh, tell us. The nice one, the Toulon one?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Big full moon fan, so I definitely understand that one too. So do you guys have anything coming up that's you could talk to us about that you're gonna be doing on the channels?
I'm working on a review of The Visit right now, so hopefully that'll be up soon. We're gonna be also having the Oscars when the Oscar comes up, so we're getting ready for that.
Oscars is our big annual horror award show that we do the night of the Oscars because horror gets snubbed. So ours is just all horror.
Yeah.
And then, like I said on my channel, I'm trying to do some shorter reviews in between my all the gory details ones where I just jam pack it with trivia. I'm working on one of those for Satan's Little Helper. And then the shorter reviews I'm working on are one on Scream, a spoiler discussion that we did, and a ranking of Scream.
Yeah, I'm gonna
That's
debut.
Awesome.
Man, I can't wait to check it out. And you guys can check it out too by clicking the links down here in the description and subscribing to their videos. So before we get started on the reason we're here, I do want to say hello to some of the people that are already here with us. We got Daniel, we got Lewis of I Love Movies. How you doing, buddy? J-Dev, Jason's here. What's going on, man? Nathan, Robin St. Charles. How you doing?
We know Robin.
Linton's here, Mud's here. So, and I agree right here. Hate that horror gets ignored. It's such a bullshit thing. Horror still has that taboo thing around it when in all actuality, a lot of the acting in horror deserves Oscars more than anything else. Look at Hereditary alone.
That was a snub.
Yeah.
Even genre films, like a lot of people are upset that Spider-Man didn't get nominated. It's like that was the biggest movie of last year. Why wasn't it nominated? It doesn't reflect what people are actually watching, and so I think it's kind of run its course and it's a little outdated.
Yeah, so we decided to take it into our own hands and celebrate horror that way. And hell, even Joe Bob on his show on The Last Drive-In accepted his Oscar that he won.
And then the difference with our show and the Oscars, I mean, obviously one's like on TV and really famous, and ours isn't that much. But we get nominations from all of our social media, so it's from the people who are watching the show. And then our academy is horror directors, YouTubers. You guys can be in the academy. You guys want to be in the academy? Yeah, you do. And then we all vote on it. So it's, by horror fans.
And we would absolutely love to be a part of that. We love it. Absolutely. Splash with Ariel's here. How you doing? And then Robin says hi, Danny and Gory. And okay, so the reason we are here today, guys, we are going to be ranking our favorite horror movies by year from 2011 to 2020. Now, while we are doing this, I personally, and I know Ashley did too, because we talked about it. We don't know each other's list, but we are going to do one honorable mention and our favorite from that year. I think Gory and Danny are doing it that way too. I
have more than one honorable mention because we're not as
right.
organized as you.
But I don't have much.
And that's what I'm saying. You can have as many honorable mentions as you like. Yes, Spidey got a nomination for effects. It definitely deserved Best Picture.
The girl looks so much like me.
Yeah.
So I will go into mine from 2011. So my honorable mention from 2011 is Your Next. I think Your Next was a lot of fun, very suspenseful. Definitely kept me on the edge of my seat the whole time. But 2011 is really not fair for anybody because one of my favorite movies in my top 5 all time came out in 2011, and that is The Cabin in the Woods. I absolutely love Cabin in the Woods. I think it's super intelligent. I think it's so much fun. I think it's absolutely amazing how every horror trope is incorporated, and you could logically see how any horror movie could happen in the world of Cabin in the Woods. So 2011 for me, my honorable mention goes to Your Next, and my favorite movie from 2011 was Cabin in the Woods. What about you, my love?
For 2011, I have Scream 4.
As your honorable mention?
No, as my favorite.
Oh,
are we doing honorable mentions first?
yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so my honorable mention is what is it? Oh, Terrifier.
Nice.
Yeah. I love Art the Clown. I think he's amazing. He's
Creepy.
super
Did you watch
creepy.
All Hallows Eve?
Yeah. Loved it. And I can't wait for Terrifier 2 as well.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited for that. That comes out this year. And then my favorite was Scream 4. And there's not a Scream that I do not like. And I enjoyed it. I like Kirby. Adam Brody's in it. What's not to like?
Yeah. Scream 4 was hard for me to keep off, but Your Next was just so high up in Cabin in the Woods. Like I said, no one could have competed with that. So
I get that.
Oh, what about you, Gory?
Well, I don't have it as an honorable mention, but I am very grateful to Your Next because that's what brought back Barbara Crampton, and I am a huge Barbara Crampton fan. I had a few honorable mentions. One, Mike Flanagan, one of his first films, Absentia, is so good. So good. If you guys haven't seen it, I think it's still on Netflix. It's so good. It's kind of like a woman's husband goes missing, and after someone's missing for so long, they're in absentia. So they're basically legally dead. And then he shows up, and it's got a lot of this mythology, like Three Billy Goats Gruff stuff. There's this overpass where people go in there and they don't come out, but they go to someplace else. It's so good. Detention. It's silly. I don't even know how to describe it really. So I'm just not. It's crazy. Kids are in detention. There's a time traveling bear. There's a fly man. Everything is in this movie. It's great. Scream 4 is also one of my honorable mentions for everything that Ashley summed it up perfectly. That movie is so much fun, and I adore Kirby. And Wes Craven's my favorite director. But I have to agree with Ken here and go with Cabin in the Woods. Not only was it my favorite of the year, it's one of my all-time favorites as well.
Yeah,
me too.
I agree. That's a really good movie. I didn't mention Cabin in the Woods because I just knew somebody else was going to. And I was more like, I'm just doing more like kind of favorites, even though Cabin in the Woods is a favorite. But I would say it's definitely a better movie. It's probably the best movie that year by far. But I'm going to go with a couple honorable mentions just to mention them. I had to get Cabin in the Woods as well. Detention, You're Next. Had these ones in there. Grave Encounters. Ooh. I liked them a lot. Had a good time with those ones. But I also wanted to talk about my honorable mention being Monsters Brawl. Now, it's not a good movie, but it is. I'm going with favorites more than good.
I went with favorites for mine, too. Not necessarily what I thought was the most esteemed of the year.
Yeah, like I would have it on a lower rating, but I like it more or whatever, just because I am a pro wrestler. I've been doing it for 18 years. So just watching the Universal Monsters in Monster Brawl, that's the whole plot, is they're going to have a monster tournament where the Universal Monsters, it comes down to the werewolf versus Frankenstein. And it's got some wrestlers that are really in there, like Kevin Nash, who's a really big, tall guy. It has Dave Foley as one of the announcers. Lance Henriksen does the voice of God. It's like the ring gets surrounded by zombies at one point. I don't know. It's really stupid, but I really like it. That's my honorable mention, though. I'm going for The Woman as the best, my favorite movie of that year, anyways.
So hard to watch.
It is.
That movie, will mess you up.
It was directed by Lucky McGee, but it's based off some novels, I believe. Jack Ketchum wrote the novels, I believe. Mm-hmm. And it's the second of the trilogy. I actually have not seen the third one, but the first one's The Offspring. I have the
third one, Darlin'. I have it for us. We just haven't watched it yet.
But the first one is The Offspring, and it's about a bunch of cannibals on the east coast of America here that are still hiding out there on the coast eating people. And then in The Woman, only she remains in that cannibal tribe. And this really douchebag lawyer captures her and tries to break her and tame her and keeps her like a pet, and things just get really gross, and he endangers his family, and his family's pretty gross too. And even though she's this wild cannibal woman, he's the villain, and I don't know, she gets free, and just there's all sorts of good
It's like,
gore.
who's the real monster here?
Exactly. I wouldn't say she's a good, she is a monster, but
I mean, he's somebody who couldn't be out in public society and blend in, but he is disgusting. Like,
yeah,
the things he does, not even to her, but to his family, it's just
yeah.
revolting.
And she had like a pet wolf because, you know, she's like kind of raised by wolves type thing, where he is a wolf too, just in like sheep's clothing, where that makes him more dangerous.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got a really good gore in it and everything. So that was my pick for 2011.
Very nice. So as always, once we're done with our list, we will go through and we will catch up with the chat. J Dev says Scream 4. I knew that was coming. Good Real Hunting. Watch the trailer for A24's Men. Looks very interesting, and the cinematography looks incredible. Yeah, I think it looks really good too. And obviously the cinematography, it's an A24 film, so you know the cinematography is going to be top notch.
Oh yeah.
The Firestarter trailers are up too.
Yeah.
What did?
The Firestarter trailer.
Firestarter.
I'm excited
very
for that.
excited for that one as well. Nathan's 2011 was your next. Lewis, I need to watch. Yeah, you do. I think Cabin is streaming on Amazon Prime right now. Either Prime or Hulu. I know it's on one of the two.
Honestly, I'm just going to tell you this. Just go buy it. You're going to love it. Just buy it. Don't even worry about streaming. Just buy it.
Yeah.
Especially when you watch the bonus features on the Blu-ray and see how they made everything happen at the ending. It's so incredible. Definitely worth a purchase. I agree with you, Gory.
Everything's better.
If you love horror, that's going to be one of your favorite movies. Just purchase it.
Everything's better with a merman.
Oh, come on. Okay, sup guys. This year, calling it Orphan First Kill Best Horror. I will tell you this. I just talked to somebody that is a very big part of Orphan First Kill, and the way that they do her makeup, and they do not de-age her with CGI.
I'm excited about this.
Everything is done practically, whether it be apple carts or high-rise shoes. They do not de-age her with CGI. So I think that it's going to be pretty special to see how they actually go with the prequel here. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Yes.
I'm excited. I'm just a little hesitant because William Brent Bell's directing, and when he's good, he's great. But when he's bad, it's devil inside. So I kind of keep my reservations with his work.
I agree with Scream because there's never been a bad installment in that franchise. Like some are a little better than others, but they never none of them ever sink down. They're pretty always on par. So I agree with that. Scream 4 sadly was the only one that didn't do that well in the box office. I'm glad that Scream 5 picked things back up and did well. For
Scream 4 is unsung.
Yeah, I don't know why people just didn't go out to see it that year, but I mean most people like it. They just didn't do that well.
We like it a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely not my least favorite. And I agree with you where I think that my favorite horror franchise is Child's Play. I think it always will be.
That's mine too.
Yeah, I think that Scream is probably the best when it comes to consistency and the amount of films they have. I think Scream's probably your best horror franchise.
There's not one
slashers. I think Evil Dead is slightly better overall and for horror.
Do what?
I think for slashers, definitely Scream as far as quality and consistency. For passion and innovation, I would say Child's Play bar none. And for overall horror, just great all around. Even the TV show, Evil Dead. Everything's been amazing.
Especially gonna bring TV shows into them.
Yeah.
We loved Ash vs. the Evil Dead.
Oh, yeah,
that's one of the few remakes that I think is just absolutely right. It's so fucking great.
Ash, can you make a parody of yourself versus the Evil Dead? Because I want to see it.
She's definitely Ashy Slashy over here.
Nice.
Hey guys, I haven't been able to catch y'all streaming in a while. Really glad to catch tonight's Scream. Jay, we're glad to have you, buddy. I'm so glad you can make it.
Yes, we are.
And Sean says Scream 4. So that is our 2011s. Would you like to start us off with 2012, my love?
Absolutely. So my honorable mention for 2012 is The Collection. I feel this movie is scary. The guy's scary, and The Collector. When we first seen The Collector, I was hooked. So I had to watch The Collection. And
there's a new one this year too.
Yeah,
there's a what?
There's a third one this year.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
I
know it's been in limbo. The Collected.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, I hope so.
And I mean, he literally mows over a crowd of people in the nightclub, and that's just pretty cool to me,
Mhm.
honestly.
Yeah, one of the best intros.
Yeah, I love that.
I wasn't expecting
and-
it to start with such a high body count. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Sinister would be my favorite of that year. That movie has like some of the craziest jump scares that literally make you like jump up out of your seat.
Yeah.
And it was just I like that movie a lot.
Mhm. Very good movie.
Yeah.
Awesome. Gory, you want to give us your 2012?
Yeah. Hold on. So my honorable mentions were the Maniac remake, which is one of a few rare remakes where I think it's as good, if not better. Don't hate me. Than the original. Elijah Wood is so good in that, and I think what makes it so good is because Elijah Wood is just somebody who, like, it's like the Norman Bates thing. Like, you wouldn't feel like you're in danger with him, and so he's so good in that because he's so scary. American Mary, phenomenal. Catherine Isabel is just an instant icon in that movie. But I'm going to have to go with what Ash said and say Sinister, just because I've seen 2 movies in my lifetime where I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely dead. Because Sinister, I'm watching that and I'm like, just move, just move, just move. They move. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
So
That's the
it's
wrong thing to do.
Yes, the mythology in it, the Bagul is so good. And I usually hate jump scares, especially that kind of Blumhousey one. But in this movie, it works. And it's really effective. And the home movies they do with the children are just really disturbing.
So,
Yeah, it had a bunch of good creepy kids without like overusing them, but just using them at the right amount to stay creepy. And then that ended. And I love all the little like home footage too. It was definitely an honor mention of mine. The only reason it's probably not my actual one is because I knew she was picking it. But I love that movie. Also, like the Maniac reboot, as you said, that was really good. I'm gonna go with Sushi of the Dead as my runner-up.
Remember a little egg roll?
Yes, Sushi of the Dead is a fun Japanese horror comedy. This is my runner-up. And it's about a girl named Kikyo who's like a daughter of the chef Seuss, but she also wants to incorporate martial arts into her cooking of sushi, which is a good thing because someone makes a serum that turns the sushi into living, evil, flying around, killing people sushi. Except for some reason, the egg roll, the egg roll is good. Like there's a good sushi that's made out of egg. Anything made out of fish is bad, and they just use martial arts to defeat
her
this evil
sidekick.
sushi. Yeah,
it's so weird. It's like, I don't know, Evil Dead in a restaurant with sushi. It's so good.
But my actual pick is American Mary because Catherine
Good one.
Isabel was amazing. I just love the story that they tell with that and her becoming like this underground surgeon and just doing all kinds of great surgery and weird special effects. And probably, I don't think the Soska sisters have ever topped that. Like, honestly.
No, that was, I think, the best they've done in their career.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
They've done other good movies, but I don't think they've ever done better than American Mary, so.
I agree with you. That's their best.
So,
yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Well, my 2012, my honorable mention, Daniel Radcliffe, The Woman in Black. I very much enjoyed this remake. I thought this was very fun. And I really like that Daniel Radcliffe this was the first movie he did after the Harry Potter franchise.
Yeah.
So to watch him come off of that and do a movie that I think genuinely has some very good scares and one of the saddest endings I've ever seen in a horror movie. I absolutely loved it. And I'm going to
frame at the end of that scare.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to stay aboard the train. Choo-choo. Sinister. There's no way I couldn't pick this movie. Ethan Hawke's incredible. Deputy So-and-so makes me laugh. And The Lawnmower is one of the best jump scares I've ever seen.
So good. And that movie is actually what's making me super excited for The Black Phone this year, where Ethan Hawke is going to be a serious villain. Like, I'm just like, ooh, honey, I need to see more horror because you're doing a good job.
Yeah, because he did that. But yeah, I love those home videos in Sinister because they have that realism that they feel like you don't always get that feel of real when you get found footage or stuff, but sometimes you do, and those ones are especially like really good. They feel real, like American, like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original kind of real feeling that you get.
Yeah,
I'm watching something real here.
I like that they actually shot those on Super 8 film. Like that wasn't post editing or anything. That was legit Super 8 film they did, and they're so good. And the way that the story wraps up at the end, I loved it. I was a huge fan of it. So 2012 had to
get in the box.
Yeah.
Oh, so clever. So clever.
Yes.
And
yes.
Unpopular opinion, I like the sequel too. Not as much, but I do like it.
But I do actually like it.
It's
fun.
watchable for sure. Yeah.
James Ransone really makes the sequel watchable. You know, Deputy So-and-so definitely has a charm to him that makes the sequel more watchable.
He does.
Yeah.
And just to try to watch their dad die. Like the whole movie, you're like, please kill this fucking
I
guy.
know.
Yeah.
So we'll catch up on the chat real quick. Robin said Battery 2012, hands down. Awesome. Mud says, I love the Maniac remake. Matt, I just watched Sinister a few days ago for the first time. I like that one a lot. Matt Pepler, we still got to meet up, brother, because we need to hang out for a little bit and talk some horror together.
We just watched it recently, and I knew that
The lawnmower?
Yeah, I knew it was coming, and I still jumped. It still made me jump.
Well, the
That's
timing of that is impeccable.
Yeah.
It's such great timing.
I
And
think
what
that's
what scene? Oh, go ahead, Gory.
I was gonna say, I think that's what makes a good jump scare is like a cat one pisses you off because it's not really scary. When what makes you jump is genuinely frightening, like that lawnmower one. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
And a scene I want to talk about, and I meant to talk about it a little bit ago, when you have the home video of them burying the family in the snow, and like the mom just gives that look over, and you see that last breath come out of her mouth. Like that's such a scary scene for me. There's nothing jumpy or anything like that, but just the thought of freezing to death like that is such a terrible way to die.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sean says Silent Night, Deadly Night remake 2012. Really like that remake. Very fun remake.
Mm-hmm.
Gory, would you like to start us off with 2013?
Sure. 2013 is really hard, guys. There was a lot of great movies that year, and I couldn't pick. So, a lot of great movies. I loved Green Inferno. I love Curse of Chucky because Chucky's my boy. Like, if I was going to have a beer with any slasher villain, it's Chuck's for sure. I love Chucky. And that was such a great return to form.
Mhm.
I love Bad Milo about the butt demon that he has to befriend. Love that. And Oculus is horribly underrated. I love Oculus. But my number one for that year is going to have to be Evil Dead. It's really, really hard to remake something that people love so much. But that movie was just so great. I think a great remake gets what made the original scary. What made that one scary is that these people were trapped in the middle of nowhere. Why is my phone doing stuff? And, there was these things they didn't understand. And they added a different layer to it with them not being able to trust our main protagonist because, she is there for drug rehab. And so it's frustrating, but in the right kind of way because you understand why they're not letting her out, why they're not instantly on, even the guy who reads the Book of the Dead, like he studies that stuff. So I don't know why he read it out loud. I don't know why he did that.
Never read the Latin.
Don't ever read the Latin.
Don't read the Latin.
But it's great. It's really good. And the more I watch it, the more I like it even more.
Mm-hmm.
Evil Dead 2 is my favorite horror movie of all time. So I was really happy that I liked the reboot of Evil Dead.
We have an Evil Dead 2 poster above our bed.
And I'll be honest with you, Ashley and I have fully written an Evil Dead 2 fan film that takes place exactly 20 years after the events of Evil Dead 2, with Ash never having come back to the future. So this is where you learn what really happened to Professor Noby and maybe some offshoot of his family that is continuing his research today. So
I want to see this, guys.
Yeah, so it's something we're very proud of. So
next date night, maybe show us that.
For sure.
This is a double date for us, everybody, in case you didn't know.
That's the whole reason we did this, was just so we could go on this double date.
Yeah.
What about you, Danny? What's your 2013?
2013. Well, I had Evil Dead on there, but I let her talk about it. Green Inferno, really enjoyed that. Crazy cannibals just eating people. It was a good time. It gave me what I expected. Had a weird stinger, but other than that, it was really good.
Yeah.
Curse of Chucky, just good to see Chucky back. I was disappointed that went straight to video though. I was like, because that was his first straight to video.
Right.
Or before that,
Yeah,
he was always in a theater. But I did really like that. Yeah.
Yes. You're the best.
Well, my runner-up though will be Bad Milo, because I just like Ken Marino in that, and he's got this stomach problem. He thinks it's going to be ulcers because he's got so much stress. But no, he's got a demon up his ass. Okay, this is one of the reasons why it's kind of messed up that I like it so much. But they're doing a colonoscopy, right? And you just see what the camera's seeing. And this happened to be the moment that our kid walked into the living room and they like get the little jump scare of the demon and the guy's like colonoscopy camera, and it screeches, and our kid just runs away screaming. Like,
Yeah, this is like how we talked about being afraid of Pet Sematary. That's this movie for him.
yes,
That's
The
hilarious.
movie.
and I don't know. It also has Patrick Warburton in it, the guy that plays Joe in Family Guy. He was also the Tick, and I just like him. He's a great voice actor as well. But he's his dickhead boss. And then Stephen Root, I believe You Have My Stapler, is his dad, like from Office Space. And I don't know.
Office
He also
Space.
has his own butt demon too, but it's a little more pacifist. And
And it has, oddly enough, really good messages in it.
yeah, it does actually.
Like their solution for this problem is very good.
Yeah, that's just my runner-up. My number one pick would be the WNUF Halloween Special, because I just love it. It's basically feels like you're watching an actual VHS. Somebody recorded something in the 80s. Like it'll start fast forwarding a little bit. There's a news broadcast with the news anchors. They're talking about how they're gonna go into the haunted house and send their Frank Stewart to their their reporter out there on the street, and he like interviews
I love how
them.
annoyed he is.
He's so annoyed and like does not want to be bothered with this, but he goes it and he asks people, like they give him the stupidest answers that he's expecting. Sorry. It also has like a better take, I believe, than on the Warrens. Like they're called the Burgers in this, but they basically are the Warrens from The Conjuring and stuff. And he asks them a bunch of questions. Hold on. Anyways, they go into that house and shit just happens, but it does feel real. Despite it's comedy, but it's never so over the top where it doesn't seem believable.
Sure.
And anyways, that was my favorite one from that year.
Good one.
Because I recorded so much stuff on VHS, so it actually feels kind of like something I already own.
Right. I get that, man. I grew up in a video store, so I totally understand where you're coming from there. VHS
It
was so
even has-
important in my childhood.
It even has commercials in it that
Yeah.
are like from like public access in the day.
Sometimes you
That's
fast forward
so
through them,
fucking
sometimes you
bad.
forget to. And they're like I said, they're funny, but they're not too over the top where I'm like, that's actually kind of how it was. Like, it's just,
Oh my god, that's awesome. Well, my 2013 is probably pretty predictable. My honorable mention, we're talking about jump scares. My honorable mention had to be The Conjuring. I think that I love Ed and Lorraine. I love the first Conjuring movie. I think it's great. Look what you made me do. Again, one of the biggest jump scares of my life. I think that one really, really got me. But I mean, my favorite from that year, obviously, Evil Dead. That movie it blew my balls off when we watched it. Like I went into that movie Lou Taylor Pucci was in it, so I was super stoked because I love Lou Taylor Pucci as a human being and as an actor. And so I was stoked to watch him. And I really went into this thinking as I'm watching it, like he was going to be the final guy. He was going to be the Ash, because he's kind of that nerdy guy at the beginning and reading the book. And I thought maybe he was going to get that badass character. I'm glad we got it the way we did. But like you said, what I love about this movie, it's super fucking intelligent. Like it's not a bunch of kids that just go out to party in the woods and blah, 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 blah. They're taking her out there to clean her up off dope. Like she's got to get off the heroin. And that's why they don't have their phones. That's why they can't leave. Like, that's really, really intelligent. Fede Alvarez did an amazing job in the writing and direction of this movie. And it's one of those things where if you've had anybody or if yourself has battled addiction, you know how true to life this story is of trying to get that person you love or yourself away to clean yourself up. Like, it's heartbreaking to watch. And they're even going through the withdrawal signs of I smell something. I need to get out of here. We need to leave. They're hot. They're cold. As a recovering addict or somebody that that's recovering, I'm sure watching this movie is very, very close to home. So I absolutely adore Evil Dead 2013. It's probably the best remake of all time, in my opinion. So besides The Thing, maybe John Carpenter's The Thing. But what about you, my love? What's your 2013 looking like?
So mine's actually opposite of what you just said. So my honorable mention is Evil Dead. I love that movie too, and you pretty much summed it all up. But just like the beginning of that with the girl running in the woods, and they capture her, and she says that I'll eat your soul, daddy, and he has to light her on fire. That just gets you in all right, I'm ready for this. I really enjoyed that movie a lot. And Lou Taylor Pucci, he's such a cutie. Like, I
I
just
have
love him
him
as
on
an actor.
coming up again too.
You what?
He's coming up again too. I gotta talk about him again.
Oh,
Yes.
In a different
Yeah. And I actually the whole cast did an amazing job in that movie. And then my favorite was The Conjuring. I really like all the Conjurings, and I love the 70s feel of this movie. The family, you really care about them, and I think they did a good job of making you care about the family. And it's just scary and a lot of jump scares, and I really enjoyed it. So that was my favorite for 2013.
perfect.
Yeah, guys.
I like the clap game they do in The Conjuring. It's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so dope.
Mhm.
So that's everybody's 2013. So let's catch up on the chat real quick. Sean says his favorite was Evil Dead. He thought Evil Dead was 14. Byzantium. I don't think I've seen that.
Byzantium. That's a great vampire movie. Really
I have
underrated.
not seen that one yet.
It's on Netflix.
I agree, Charles. 2013 probably was the hardest year for me because there were so many good movies that I had to
There's
leave
a
off the
lot
list
of
there.
good ones.
Love Hawk movies, of course. 2013 is tough. Anybody a Green Inferno fan? I like
Yes.
Shaheem's here. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Cheyenne.
Scream 4. Gavin says shout out to Butt Demons. I think that's the reason we're all here. Curse of Chucky was serious yet fun, and cameo at the end was cool. I loved Curse of Chucky. Like when it came out, like I remember you have your mother's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
They're too fucking close together. I was like, yes, that's so dope.
Yes.
Jumping the gun, but 2016, better watch out. 2017, It, 19, Child's Play, and last year, Halloween Kills. We'll talk about some of them again. The ending of the Evil Dead remake can't happen in real life, FYI, that we know of.
Oh, are we talking about where he with the battery?
Yeah.
Okay, that drives me nuts. That part drives me nuts.
Shaheem says 2012 American Mary. So now we're up to 2014. You want to start us off on this one, Danny?
Yeah. Okay. So a quick little honorable mentions. I loved Creep. I loved Clown. I loved Tusk. Well, actually, that's the one I want to talk about is my honorable mention by Kevin Smith, starring Justin Long and Michael Perks, who it's funny how this all came about on Tusk. Kevin Smith was just doing a podcast, and he's talking about this thing called Gumtree, which is kind of like Canada's version of Craigslist. Yeah. But there was an ad where like roommate wanted, you won't have to pay rent, but once a month or once an hour for every night or whatever, you have to dress up in this walrus costume. And they're just laughing how bizarre and silly that was. And that's how they came up with the idea to make Tusk the movie. Well,
They worked out a lot of the plot on that podcast too.
They pretty much just talk about it. And then like Kevin Smith basically gets dared into making it his real movie. And he's like, fine. And it has Johnny Depp in it.
Don't ever dare Kevin Smith.
Yeah, don't dare Kevin Smith. He'll do it. It's got Johnny Depp in it as well. But he doesn't even want to be credited in it.
And his daughter.
Yeah, his daughter's in it.
Both her daughters.
Yeah, Kevin Smith's Harley Quinn Smith's in it as well. Haley Joe Osment's in it, and he grew up. He's funny in that though. And yeah, they go out there and find their friend who is slowly and sadly being mutilated and turned into a walrus. And it's still funny, but at the same time, it's so dark. And actually, it was my very first review. I reviewed that movie,
That's
so it
right.
inspired me to create
Nice.
a channel.
Nice.
So
that movie makes
put
me
that on
chuckle.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
We know they're doing a sequel, right?
yeah. Well, they did Yoga Hosers, and they're supposed to be doing Moose Jaws.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on it.
Okay.
We're still waiting on it. Come on, Kevin Smith, give us Moose Jaws. I want to just quick shout out to What We Do in the Shadows. I loved that movie. I think she gonna be talking about it though.
I might talk about a different one next.
You
I
might.
don't know.
But my number one is The Voices, with Ryan Reynolds and Anna Kendrick. And Ryan Reynolds is in love with this girl. I mean, he just goes to work with a big old shit-eating grin on his face. He goes home and talks to his dog and his cat, and he also does their voices. They talk back. And he's just having a great time all the time. But you find out it's because he's not taking his medication. When he takes his medication, he sees all the pizza boxes and just the cat don't talk and the dog don't talk.
And he's lonely.
He lives on top of an abandoned bowling alley, and he's very lonely, very depressed. He has some childhood trauma he's trying to suppress, but the medication actually makes him remember everything's real. So he chooses not to take it, to live in this fantasy world, and he ends up given this girl that at work that he really likes, not Anna Kendrick. She really likes him, but he likes a different girl.
Gemma Amerton. She's in Byzantium.
Yeah, she is. He ends up killing her by accident, but then he has to keep everything going, the charade, and he just keeps killing people to cover his tracks, and everything burns down to the ground for him at the end. And it's what gave me some reprieve as I waited for that Deadpool movie, because I knew that was coming, and I was like, okay, well, I'm still enjoying Ryan Reynolds just killing people and just
He
being
is so
insane.
sympathetic in that, even though he is, I guess, the bad guy.
Yeah.
And oh my god, the best part is he does the voices of the cat, which sounds like Scottish,
but it
and the dog too. It's like you like has that good boy voice.
It's like Davy and
boy.
Goliath dog.
He is so good at that. He really stretches, like, does. Everyone always says Ryan Reynolds does the same thing over and over again, but this movie, it's really different, but it's so good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like totally jumping on
But
it.
no, I love the voices, so that was my number one.
One of the most plain yet awesome cover arts of all time as well, with him in the jumpsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I love it so much. So my 2014, my honorable mention is The Taking of Deborah Logan. Yes, that's it right there. The voices cover.
Nice.
Dog and a cat.
Just
Great.
it's so plain, but it's so great. My honorable mention is The Taking of Deborah Logan. I did like that one. I like how you watch what you think is a woman with dementia falling apart when really it's a possession movie. That goes a little deeper than just a possession. So if you haven't seen it, I can't recommend that one enough. But my favorite from 2014, filmed in our great city of Detroit, Michigan, would be It Follows. Big fan of It Follows, from the opening terrible leg break to the fact that anytime I get asked the question, Ken, if you were going to be in a horror movie that you know you'd survive, what would it be? It Follows. We've been together 17 years. I am safe if I am in It Follows. So, but I mean, the jump scares are genuine in it. The story's great. The acting is phenomenal. And I'm a huge fan. So 2014 for me had to be It Follows.
Dude. Oh
yeah. It had such a unique old school feel to it, but it was
very,
I loved it. I love how like they try to trap it, but that's not going to work.
The pool scene is one of the most anxiety-ridden scenes in the whole movie. I love that scene so much. What's your 2014, my love?
All right, so this year was actually pretty tough for me to come up with some movies. I don't know why I couldn't, I don't think I watched many movies in this year for whatever reason. But I have Annabelle as my honorable mention. Annabelle's a freaky looking doll. There's good jump scares. I like the whole Charles Manson spinoff of it. And the 60s vibe is pretty cool too.
Isn't it crazy that the woman who's the star of that is also named Annabelle in real life? She was just in Malignant too. She's good.
Yeah, she's great. And my favorite was Woman in Black 2. Now it was the pacing of it is a little slow, but I don't think it was ever really dull. And it had some decent casts, and it was just an enjoyable movie overall. It wasn't as good as the first one, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we had fun with it.
Yeah.
All right, Gory, you want to give us your 2014?
I love the ones you guys picked for honorable mentions. It Follows. I love Creep, which is a great one. I love the voices. The Babadook came out that year. My honorable mention, though, is going to be Spring, which you guys love. Lou Taylor Pucci. He is in this movie. It is the most romantic horror movie I have ever seen. It is also one of the most original horror movies I've ever seen. So there's this guy, Lou Taylor Pucci. He's been taking care of his mom for years, and she passes away, and he's like, now what do I do? I'm going to go to Italy. And he goes there and he meets a girl where it's like love at first sight. Like, he just wants to go on a date with her. And she's like, we can get it on, but I have no desire to have a relationship with you. And he's like, keeps trying and trying, but eventually you realize there's some Lovecraftian shit going on with this girl, and she has a reason for pushing people away. And you'll never see it coming. Some great body horror, beautiful cinematography. Lou Taylor Pucci is great at the drama. He's great at the comedy. It's so good, so good. I can't recommend it enough. It's by the people who did The Endless and Resolution. So good.
I believe it was actually your first solo review.
It was actually my first solo review. It's so great. And then
I've got Bad Milo and Spring written down, so we can check both these out.
you guys, if you love Lou Taylor Pucci, in my opinion, that is his best movie. He is phenomenal. Also, watch the behind the scenes. There's a great special feature on there where he's talking to his buddy, who is the guy from The Battery. I heard people like that one. He's talking to his buddy on the phone, and it's like the alternate ending. He's like, "Yeah, that's a bad idea. Okay, I'm just gonna come home." It's so cute. It's so cute how they had so much fun and passion making this movie. Like, this was made by people who genuinely wanted to tell a story, and you're not gonna see the end coming. It's so great. It holds up on a rewatch. Date night movie, guys. Check that out.
For sure.
Absolutely.
And then my number one, I watched this movie so goddamn much. What We Do in the Shadows. I love this movie. It's one of those ones like you can watch it endlessly and you don't get tired of it. The humor is so good in this. It's such a tribute to vampires from like the beginning to, from Dracula to the Lost Boys to even the Twilight era. And it has fun with it without ever like parodying it, without actually being insulting. Like clearly I love the part where he's like doing the spaghetti thing. He's like, we learned that from the Lost Boys. Like, you could tell they actually really, and it's the guys who did Flight of the Conchords who made it.
Yeah.
So great. And I love the show that sprung off of it. I was so skeptical at first. But I love that movie.
The movie would make you want more.
It's directed by Taika. Well, I always say his name horribly. I'm really sorry if I said it wrong, but Taika Waititi.
Yeah,
who did Thor Ragnarok. He directed it and he stars in it, and he's fantastic. And cannot recommend it enough. One of the best horror comedies I've ever seen. Yeah.
Now, like, that movie left us wanting so much more. We were like, oh no, it's gonna give us a TV show, but then we ended up loving the TV show too. It's so good. So it's like, I was like, give us more seasons.
It's my favorite show now, so I love it.
The people behind Flight of the Conchords they're so funny.
They made this. They wrote it together, and then Taika, who's one of them, he also directed it. And Jermaine is he's basically like the old school Dracula type, like the Gary Oldman one where he's super sexy. And then Taika is more like Interview the Vampire, where he's kind of like a Nancy and he's kind of like Victorian and very proper. And then you have this guy who's like the new kind of Twilight one, like, I'm going to use all this vampire stuff to like be popular. And they have a Nosferatu guy. It's terrific. It's so funny.
Whenever I think of the Flight of the Conchords, guys, I think of the I'm not crying.
If you love Flight of the Conchords, you have to see this. Have you seen it?
Especially if you love that horror, because it's
Please watch this tonight.
There's a group of werewolves, and they're like, the leader's like, we're werewolves, not swearwolves. Watch your language.
Well, since you haven't seen it, to give you a little more context on it, it's basically a mockumentary in the style of like The Office.
Yeah.
And this documentary crew, they found a group of vampires who are living in New Zealand, and they're housemates, and they have normal housemate problems like who's going to do the dishes. All your bloody mugs are in, like literal bloody mugs, are in the kitchen. They're dealing with normal housemate problems. And then eventually one of them they end up accidentally making a vampire who's going to join their house. And then there's also a big ball coming up where apparently the beast is there. Yeah. So it's like a mockumentary kind of following the lives of these vampires. But you've got like Jermaine from Flight of the Conchords, who's like a Gary Oldman type. So you've got all these different vampires. And they have Peter, who's so sweet. And he's like a Nosferatu and lives downstairs. And they have werewolves, but they're super straight-laced, and they're not werewolves. They're not swearwolves. Yeah. They're werewolves.
Yeah,
that's one of so funny.
Seriously, you will love it. Watch it, please.
Yeah, we will definitely check it out. So that is everybody's 2014 then. All right, we will catch up on the chat real quick. Shane says 13, Curse of Chucky. Fiona Dorff was my obsession in that movie. It's so crazy how much she looks like her father.
She does.
She plays him in the TV show. She plays him.
Yeah, it's so great.
I think it's awesome.
Unpopular opinion, but 2014 for me was As Above, So Below and The Last Shift. Honorable mention. 14 had so many underrated horror flicks. As Above, So Below is very, very good. So that was a hard one for me to choose again.
I'm claustrophobic. That one scared the crap out of me. It was good.
Fiona was great in Curse. She looks like her dad. We agree, Lewis. Anna says 2014 is probably a tie between A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night and It Follows. Knowing Fiona Dorff was Brad's daughter was another aspect of Curse that I loved. It's so poetic to the Chucky franchise. Kevin Smith is one of my favorite humans. I can't argue that part either. I mean, he's such an integral part of me as a kid that it's ridiculous. Honorable mention, Creep 2014, The Babadook. Gavin, Creep was 2014. I thought it was 15. I'm pretty sure that was 14. Wasn't it?
Creep?
Yeah. I think
It might
have
have
it on
been
here.
like not available for everybody, so that's
Creep
the
was
problem.
2014.
But
okay.
At least that's what it's
Um,
officially listed as.
officially,
It
it might
might
have
not
only
be.
been in festivals, and maybe we all didn't get it until the beginning of 2015. That's the problem with looking them up sometimes. But
Right. 2014 was It Follows, the movie I discovered recently. I watched it last year and was freaked the hell out in the best way. I do like A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. I'm going with Starry Eyes.
Ooh, Starry.
Good one.
Yeah. Never got into The Conjuring despite Juan directing. Yeah, I love The Conjuring. I prefer The Babadook. Ken, it's the best horror film of 2014 for me. I feel you.
I like his screen picture too. It totally fits him saying that.
Yeah.
I know. I think that's amazing.
He's
T.
a
Parker's great. T. Parker's, he's on it every single time. It Follows, I'm in the minority, but I thought it was very overrated, but only seen it once. Sean, you got to watch it again. This is a movie that the first time we watched it, we were like, hey, that was good. And then we watched it a second time, we're like, God, that's so fucking, it's so great.
I will say something about It Follows that I don't like. I think it's it's too simple to say that It Follows is about, it's an allegory for sexual diseases. I think that's too simple. I think It Follows to me is an allegory for your growing up, from not being a child anymore. And part of that is, you have sex and you're not really a little kid anymore, but maybe change the way you're looking at the allegory, because I don't really like the simplistic, well, it's about, sexually transmitted diseases. I think that's too simple. But if you look at it maybe as an allegory for growing up and having to leave your childhood behind, and I don't know, maybe you'll appreciate it more.
Well, like in A Beautiful Mind, where he's skeptical of new people because he sees people. But this is new people who will kill you.
Right.
Or there'll be people that you trust, and they'll still come up to you and kill you.
I mean, in this one, it's like this, like, especially when she's seeing the old lady, it's like, no matter how much you're trying to like live in the moments, if you always have this thing following you around that you are going to get older, you are going to die, and that's kind of how I view that movie.
Death catches up to you.
It will eventually catch up to you. Death is going to catch up to you.
No matter what you do. I completely agree. You can't pass it off to someone else and get rid of it.
Yeah. They'll just prolong the...
Yeah. So Matt says spring is a hidden gem. So he agrees with you guys. Shaim says, I love See No Evil 2 with Danielle Harris and Catherine Isabel. They were amazing. Underrated 2014.
Another good one by the Soska sisters. That's actually better than the original. So I would say that.
I've never seen that one because I didn't like the original.
That one was cut to shit, like the way they edited it and stuff. It wasn't that good, but the second one is better. Danielle Harris is in it with Catherine Isabel, and they do a great job. Soska sisters directed it.
So this one, this is spring. This is a cool kind of Lovecraftian cover. Yeah. But you guys like Lou Taylor Pucci. So I'm going to show you him. He's so good in this, Ash. I just feel like I get you, and I feel like you're going to love this. But there he is. Yeah. And look at these tentacles, guys. What the fuck is that? Please watch this movie. And then
we are going to watch this movie.
So great.
And T. Parker says, thank you for the Tara comment. She's my favorite character in the news in Scream 5. So I knew T. Parker was on one when he was talking about the Babadook. I knew that there was a double meaning there. So now we are up to our 2015, and I will start this one. My honorable mention here is The Vivitch. I really did like that movie. I love period pieces, especially when they're done really well. And watching a lot of the behind the scenes and the commentary on this film really made me appreciate all the hard work they did going into the period piece and how they wanted to make it very, very authentic to the period. So The Vivitch is definitely my honorable mention. My favorite movie of 2015, I think, because Ashley and I went and seen this and we were not spoiled beforehand, and it really took me by surprise. And that is The Visit. M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit. I do like this movie very much. Now, here's what's funny about it. The first time we see this movie, I absolutely adored it. I loved it. Second viewing, it was just okay. But that first viewing to me was so good that I couldn't.
Diaper scene.
Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started on the diaper scene. Oh, my God. I'm a big germaphobe, too. Like, if I go out to eat at a restaurant, we take our own silverware. Like, that's how we get down. Like, I don't want to eat off something 75 other people have. So, yeah, the diaper scene really made me want to kill myself. So, 2015 for me, honorable mention is The Vivitch, and my favorite is The Visit by M. Night Shyamalan. What about you?
Honorable mention is Insidious 3. Love all the Insidious movies also. Lynn Shay, she's phenomenal in my opinion. I think that well, you know how she gets hit by a car and like her legs are broken.
Oh,
and,
the girl.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that like her not being able to move, it makes it more terrifying for me. And I don't. Do you remember the scene where she's laying in bed and like the hand comes down and like screams really loud? That made me jump, like pee my pants. And then my favorite of 2015 was also The Visit. Yeah. Like you said, when we first watched it, like the what happened,
The twist
part of it, like my jaw just dropped. Like I never thought that that's what was going on, and I really enjoyed it the first time too. And I think the second time probably wasn't as good because it was spoiled, but it's still a fun movie. So.
Yeah, and I think the big thing with you,
for M. Night too.
Yeah, M. Night kind of like started to redeem himself there with that movie, especially. That's like I said earlier, and when we started, that's the review that I'm working on right now is The Visit.
And it's so funny because when you said that, I was like, ooh, we're going to be talking about that movie here in a little bit. So I love the fact that you talked about that at the beginning because I do think it's a fun movie. And it's one of those movies that I think the twist, we were expecting more of a supernatural type twist.
Yeah.
So we're not going to give anything away because if you want to know, go and watch Danny's review on Horror Addicts TV here soon. And you can follow that by subscribing right down here in the description. So we won't talk about the twist in it. If you haven't seen the movie, watch his review and he'll tell you all about it. So and or Sledgehammer Horror, we did one of our didn't see that coming, one of our podcasts where we talk about horror movie endings that got us. We did an episode on The Visit, and I would like to say that my rapping skills at the end of that episode
to see this now.
They were quite on point. So
did you rap about upside down cake?
Oh, Miley Cyrus, don't get me started.
Did you rap about upside down cake?
Oh no. I just rapped about how great I am. Just like the kid in the movie did.
Can we get a little encore right now?
Oh God, no. It took me 25 minutes to write the 2 lines I did.
He's no Eminem.
Yeah, definitely. I'm from Detroit, but I'm no Eminem. So what about you, Gory? What's 2015 looking like for you?
Okay, so 2015, I love your guys' picks. They're all great. My 2015 was hard, guys. Runners up, the Green Room was fantastic. The violence in that movie, you fucking feel it. That one was so good. Love that one. I love the Vitch. I love Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, and that guy kind of blew up later on with Happy Death Day. That one is so good and underrated. I love Dude Bro Party Massacre 3.
Yes.
So good. And I guess that's what I'm going to talk about. It's kind of like WNUF in that it looks like somebody just recorded it, and there is no part 1 or 2. It's very low budget, but it's really goofy, and it's kind of a send up of like slasher movies. Like they're trying to avoid Motherface, who is apparently the villain of parts 1 and 2. But it's so completely random, but yet weirdly genius in places. Like it's really good humor. I really like it. It's charming as all hell. But my favorite movie, and like one of my all-time favorite movies, I'm super excited to talk about this, is The Final Girls. Have you guys seen The Final Girls?
Yes, we have.
I love this movie.
Adore The Final Girls.
And I get really upset because a lot of people
about The Final Girls.
This was it's actually written by a couple, by one very well-known person. So I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head, but he played Homer in Near Dark. He is one of the co-writers of this. And he is also the son of the man who played Father Karras in The Exorcist. So this is a man who grew up watching his father die over and over again, being invited to Exorcist screenings, watching his father die. His father died in real life, so this was extremely painful for him, and that was the genesis of this movie. And this movie has so much heart, and it's also such a love letter to slashers, which both of them growing up as gay men, slashers were their go-to, like that was their comfort. That's where they felt understood. And so they go to release this movie, and the studio says, yeah, that's not going to work. Because you can't have a mother-daughter story because men don't want to see that. They want boobs and blood. And women don't want boobs and blood. So you need to pick a lane here. And they're like, you don't understand horror audiences. And so unfortunately, they said the mother-daughter relationship, that was the heart of the story. There was no way they were changing it. So they got rid of some of the blood and the nudity. And a lot of people shit on this movie. And they said, it's not good because it doesn't have nudity. Scream doesn't have nudity. And it's one of the best movies of all time. So I think people were really unfair to this movie. Really unfair.
But also the producers were unfair to it as well, too.
The producers were unfair to it. And it's one of those movies where it's like, what you watch, that's what you spend your money on. That's you voting for what you want to see in the cinema. So, I like this movie. I went and bought it full price Blu-ray that day because I wanted to say, this is what I want to see more of. You are wrong about what you think I want to see. So if you love the Conjuring movies, if you love Evil Dead, go see it in the theater. Support it with your dollar because those are the kind of movies that are going to get made. Rant over. I'm so sorry. So this movie is about a girl who, like the writer, her mother was in kind of like a Friday the 13th type movie, and she dies in that movie. And then her mom's her best friend. Her mom dies in real life in a car accident. She's invited to a screening of her mom's movie. She doesn't really want to go. She's actually kind of suicidal. And then something weird happens where there's a fire and they end up going into her mom's movie. So her whole thing is she wants to save her mom in the movie so she can have her mom again. So it's kind of like, no, mom, please don't have sex with this guy. You will die.
Right.
So she's trying to save her, but there's also some great, like, just commentary on the slasher genre. And it's so good. It's beautifully shot, beautiful soundtrack. Cannot recommend it enough. It's so great.
Yeah, it has kind of like that last action hero moment where they get pushed into the actual movie. And
That's
I would
so
love
great.
that. That's something that I would love.
It's,
I would
up
enjoy
there
that
on the
so
wall,
much.
Right.
too.
Yeah.
So good.
I would love to be like in a horror movie, just like knowing what it is too. And they'd even just try to stand around and do nothing, but then credits roll and then the day starts over again. So they're like, okay.
Genuinely likable characters. It's hard with such a large cast as that, but like Adam Devine is great in it.
Yes.
The girl from Arrested Development's in it. Like everyone in this movie is so goddamn likable.
Mhm.
I love that the guy in it isn't constantly trying to rescue her. He actually trusts her to be the hero.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you
You're the
got
final
this.
girl.
I'm kind of injured right now, so it's great.
You go ahead and
So
handle business. I'll just lay here for a little bit.
Yeah, he trusts her. Instead of in a lot of movies, the guy who's injured would be like, no, I have to save you because I'm the hero. And he's like, no, you can do this. I trust you.
But in a horror movie, usually that hero guy will die or get more hurt.
Exactly. So it's so good, guys. It's so great.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing
What
2015.
about you, Danny?
All right, so I wanted to do the shout out to The Visit, The Final Girls. Shout out to Green Room because I think those are all good. I also want to do a shout out to Maggie because I like seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger with having a completely different role than you normally see, where he's like just coping with his zombie daughter.
Actually good at drama.
Yeah, he was. He actually was. Deathgasm because it rules, and The Sand because it makes me laugh every time I watch it. But I'm gonna go with my runner-up. Is a very lesser known movie called Deep Dark.
Oh my God, Dan. No way. Do not talk to them about this movie.
All right. So this guy named Herman is suicidal because he's trying to be a sculpting artist. But nobody likes him. He can't get his work and put in any galleries. They're always like, your shit is rubbish. Go kill yourself. And he's about to do it. But his uncle calls him up and says, all right, hey, I want you to move into this apartment that I own. I don't go there anymore because his uncle lives in some mansion now. But he's like, I have this old apartment and it gave me my inspiration to make my success. So why don't you move in there and give it a couple of, give it some thought. So he does that and he starts hearing a voice and he finally feels, and it's a voice, Denise Poirier. Yeah. She did the voice of Aeon Flux from that old cartoon. She's done a lot of other voice work, but that is her main character that she's ever done is Aeon Flux. He starts hearing her voice, and then he finds this little hole in the wall, like a glory hole, basically, if you will.
I can't believe you're talking to them about the evil gory hole movie. This is why people don't invite us out on double dates.
And she's like, I'm lonely. No one's lived here for a while. And it's a really run-down apartment. He doesn't know why his uncle made him stay there, but he's doing it. And he starts talking to the wall, and she starts flirting with him. And he's like, okay. She's like, just give me some attention and I can make your wildest dreams come true. And he's like, whoa. No, she's like, no. And she spits out this art. He starts pulling stuff out of the hole in the wall and he makes his art with it and everybody loves his art all of a sudden.
But he does have to finger the hole.
And then eventually he has to do more than finger the hole. He has to keep getting more stuff. He has to basically have this relationship with the glory hole. And then someone who he knows in real life, she ends up getting a crush on him because he's successful now and stuff. But the glory hole is not happy about that. And someone else attacks his its bitter rival or whatever, attacks the house. And eventually the wall gets kind of torn out, and there's just like this weird muscular monster like of flesh beneath the wall. Like you never really get to understand what the creature is, but
And it sounds like this is schlocky. It's actually kind of artsy and
it's
indie.
both.
It's
very both.
It's
just
I'm not actually upset.
it left a huge impression on me, so I want to do that to be my runner-up. Though my favorite movie of 2015, and I don't know if a lot of people like this movie, but it's Gravy. It's
I like it.
It's directed by James Rodriguez, who mostly did TV and it shows. He did a lot of episodes of Psych and stuff, and it stars Jimmy Simpson, who was one of the McBoyles in Always Sunny.
It feels almost like a Sunny in Philadelphia special.
It does. It feels like a horror episode of Sunny in Philadelphia. The guy that plays Steph was Jimmy Simpson, but his brother is played by Michael Weston, who I feel like is trying his best to channel his Charlie Day.
Yes,
because he
and
acts
Sarah
a lot.
Silverman, too.
And Sarah Silverman is in it as well. And
I love Sarah.
Yeah, and Sutton Foster, she plays Carrie, and she's like gonna become a medic, like a paramedic, but it's her last day working at this restaurant, which is Halloween. And everybody kind of throws a little party, like, you celebrate, you passed your test, and you're going to go become a paramedic.
It's more like a Thanksgiving movie, though.
It does, because it's called Gravy. But it takes place on Halloween, and the two brothers that I mentioned earlier, they seal the doors to this little Mexican restaurant and lock all the staff in there and a couple of the people who were eating there. And they decide this is what they do every Halloween. Apparently, they've done it a few times before. They cannibalize on everybody. While dressed up in costumes, they make the people who they have tied up play games and stuff, and they start killing them off.
And they get the chef to help them.
Yeah, they make the chef like cook them and stuff.
They find restaurants that are supposed to be like really good. They're like, okay, well, can you make us really delicious human tacos?
So, and like
That's
it
awesome.
becomes this weird bloodbath free for all of games and cannibalism and just fighting to stay alive. And I don't know, I just really like Gravy. There's this part where Michael Weston, like I said, he's acting like Charlie Day. He's got this axe, but he's wounded. He's just all covered in blood, and he's like chasing her to the song of La Bamba in slow motion. It's just amazing.
Oh my God, that's great. I've never seen that one either. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go find Gravy.
Yeah, for sure. So real quick, we will catch up on the chat real quick. Robin says honorable mention Southbound. Alina as the DJ, he is a living legend. The diaper scene was crazy. Yes. Daniel, honorable mention The Vivitch 2015 Hell House LLC, which is also so good. 2015 has to be The Visit by M. Night. It had me terrified of elderly people in grown-up diapers. 2015 The Lazarus Effect. Oh, Krampus. That's a good one. That's a very good one. Hell House is a good one. 2015 picks are Insidious 3 and The Final Girls. Insidious 3 was the only Insidious film I've seen in theaters and had a blast with my family. The Final Girls I've watched recently, I laughed and cried. Understand both of those. Eminem is the GOAT, the only part of the Super Bowl I'm looking forward to. Hold on. Stafford's there too, buddy.
I want to see
It's the closest that Detroit's ever going to get to the
Okay,
Super
look,
Bowl.
I'm not like a super crazy guy, but I want Stafford to win that so bad.
I will root for them for you. Like, I don't know who to root for, so you got
There
me.
you go, the Rams. I agree. The
Get
Final
that
Girls is
basket.
criminally underrated, very criminally, absolutely. It looks like I have plenty of stuff to watch and get into. See, that's why we love doing this, because we get to show, and I've got stuff written down to watch too. So
I'm curious about the glory hole. I'm not gonna.
Yes.
I'm
Deep
curious.
dark.
About
I couldn't tell. I was looking at Ash's face, and I couldn't tell if that was I'm interested in this or what the hell have we done inviting
I-
people?
it was a little bit of both, but I'm interested for sure.
I've been waiting for 17 years to hear Ashley say I'm interested in the glory hole.
This is true.
Hell yeah, Deathgasm does rule.
I actually have a Facebook group attached to my channel that's all things horror where you can share your videos or talk about horror, but it's called The Gory Hole.
Yes.
What?
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
I think your cover is
that
that
is
from Army of Darkness with the blood
Mhm.
squirting out.
Yeah. See, and I love Jay's reaction. Just hearing your description of glory hole makes me want to take a shower in kerosene and scrub my body with sandpaper. Final Girls for 2015, Betty Davis Eyes for Life.
Yes.
Ben and Shy Get Me.
Actually, it's
Well
interesting the
understood.
Betty Davis Eyes thing. They really were adamant about how they wanted it to be like a Prayer by Madonna, and it was way too expensive. They couldn't get it, and then they ended up going with Betty Davis Eyes. But I think it
I
works
think
so
better.
perfectly. I've
Yeah.
never gotten teary-eyed watching the strip scene before. Like it's so good.
It's amazing how that works. So now we are at 2016. Wow, this is flying by. And that is you starting
I can't wait. I'm so excited for this one. Oh my goodness.
So honorable mention is Split. I really enjoyed this movie. I loved at the end how we find out that it was a sequel to Unbreakable. I like most of M. Night Shyamalan movies, and I really enjoyed that movie. I thought that James McAvoy, I thought he did an amazing job with all the different personalities that he had to do. And yeah, it was a great movie.
Yeah.
And then the one that I liked the most was Don't Breathe. That movie had me on the edge of my seat for a lot of the movie. A lot of anxiety, them being in the dark, and he was really the villain, I would say, in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they were, trying to break into his house.
Yeah, I stopped being sympathetic when the turkey baster came out.
Yeah. Like he wasn't really a good guy. But I really liked that movie. We had fun with that one.
We definitely did. And again, another Detroit movie.
Yeah.
So it's hard for us to root against that. And I think that's just something funny that every time a movie's filmed in Detroit, we can watch a movie and go, hey, we know that spot and that spot and that spot. It becomes a little more special to us. And Fede Alvarez,
I think the only movie that's filmed in our town is Surviving the Game.
Yeah.
Our town's small.
That's awesome.
Guys in the beginning.
So great choices.
But
We
we're
may
proud
talk
of that
about
kid.
one of yours here again in a minute. What about you, Gory? How's 2016 shaping up for you?
Oh, I am so excited. Ash, please, let's just still be my friend, okay? Because I like you. Okay, so
she's like, I like the movie Fuck You, Ashley Sledge. It's so good.
I just don't want her to think I'm too weird. All right, runners up. They're kind of split, and then the next two are so close. I think a lot of you have seen them, though, so I'm not going to talk about them in detail. But Train to Busan was a Korean film, and every time I think I'm done with zombies, a great zombie movie comes along, and I'm like, I'm not done when they're good. It's so good. Great father-daughter story. It's so suspenseful, and you love all the characters in this. Train to Busan, action-packed zombie movie on a train. And then The Wailing, it's a little slow in places, but definitely stick with it. The third act is pretty horrifying. Another great father-daughter story, also from Korea. Really goes into some dark places in that third act, but I was there for it. That movie was great. Yeah. But my favorite movie...
Bullshit Artist.
No,
it's called
Greasy Strangler. It's so good. So, The Greasy Strangler. It's so bizarre. It's like in another universe, and I don't even care. I'm totally here for it. So in this world, there's a father and a son, and they wear these cute little pink shorts, and they do disco tours, and the disco tours are such bullshit. Like, they make up stuff for all of it. So they have this thing where they're like, you're a bullshit artist.
Yeah.
Bullshit, cat shit, lion shit. Like, the dialogue in this is so insanely quotable. I quote this movie every goddamn day. It is so good. So they're having these disco tours, and they're dealing with each other. The son's living with him because he doesn't like Ricky Pickles, his mom's new boyfriend, who has like
washboard abs. Well, you see him in the end of the movie, he does not.
And he doesn't. So he's dealing with his father, who is overly sexual and very antagonistic. Well, there's also a greasy strangler in the city. It's this guy covered in grease who strangles people. And the effects are so good. At one point, the greasy strangler just chokes someone and the eyeballs actually pop out. Oh my gosh, I'm so here for this. And they keep saying, bet you think I'm the Greasy Strangler. Like, and pretty obvious who the Greasy Strangler is, because on the Greasy Strangler, fully nude, will go through a car wash and like get cleaned off. And yeah, the Greasy Strangler is his dad. What? But plot thickens. Ashley, stay with me, girl. It's going to get good. The plot thickens. They meet this woman who is a hootie disco cutie. And first the son starts dating her, but then dad just wants to nab her up. So they're in like a love triangle. And what's going to happen? Is he just going to kill his own son because he's the Greasy Strangler? I don't know, but it's balls crazy. It's so great. I love it so much.
Think dialogue.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Think like kind of Napoleon Dynamite dialogue, but heavy R. Like very heavy R. And there's a lot of nudity. It's fake, but there's still a lot of it. Both the dad and the son have prosthetic penises. The dad's extremely large. The son has a micro penis. It's fake, but
even the girl when she's fully nude, it's a very obvious merkin.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of times when there's nudity in something, you're like, oh, gross. It's so funny because they're just clearly very fake.
Am I doing it right, Janet? Am I doing it right?
It's so good. I love it so much.
Oh, it's so quotable. If she wouldn't have talked about it, I definitely would have.
I love it.
But I knew she would, so I wanted
That's so great.
I wanted to shout out Greasy Strangler. Train to Busan, but I didn't see the Train to Busan in 2016 because I don't think we got it until like around 2018, 2019.
Yeah, I think it's hard with the foreign ones because a lot of times they're initially released in their country that year and we get it the next year.
Yeah, so I didn't even see it that year, but I do love Train to Busan.
I respect Ken's rules, and Ken said to do it as listed, so maybe you should have listened to the rules.
I did, and that's why I'm shouting it out now.
Okay, good job.
I just pointing out I didn't see it that year. So.
All right. Let's not upset Ken, please.
Don't kill it. I want to shout out Don't Kill It because Dolph Lundgren just fights this
good.
demon, and if you kill it, it instantly transfers to a different body, and it's so violent and it's so cool. Probably my favorite Dolph Lundgren movie of all time. And I don't know.
Dolph Lundgren's just a beast anyway.
Yes, but yeah, Don't Kill It with him is great. Another one is I wanted to say Don't Breathe. Amazing. I loved that. I loved 10 Cloverfield Lane. Unfortunately, I just feel like the title spoils the ending. Like, because I really would have liked to go in that completely blind, not knowing if John Goodman is full of shit or not. But since it's Cloverfield,
right?
Yeah, I know there's aliens and stuff. I know stuff's going on outside. But I think Goodman put out a great performance in that.
He is phenomenal on that.
Yeah. Belko Experiment was really good as well, so I wanted to point that out. But my runner-up is They're Watching.
That was good.
It's this cool little movie. You got this crew. It's mostly found footage. They're like doing renovating a house, but they're doing it in Eastern Europe. And this like lady buys this little house out in the woods, but it's near a village, and the village is very weird, very religious, we don't like any of. They're almost Amish, not quite, but the equivalent of that, but European.
Right.
They have their pitchforks and their their fire torches and stuff for anybody who messes with their town a little too much. And the cast of the people who are filming all this, like you got the cameraman, the sound equipment guy, the girl who interviews people, and they're going around and they're kind of feeling some hostile vibes from the locals. But that's because the locals actually are trying to warn them to get out. They know the lady who's buying the house is a witch, and just the blood starts flying. And
it's filmed like one of those like house remodeling shows.
Yeah, like
it's so cheesy in the beginning, but it just adds to the comedy.
Exactly.
Right.
And the ending is just people exploding. It's just so great. So They're Watching, a highly underrated witch film.
A great year for witches. As a practicing pagan, I give the thumbs up to the Vivitch.
Yes,
and They're Watching. Great.
I like the Vivitch as well.
Very
dark.
I like
Black
the
Phillip.
Vivitches.
Everybody.
Black Phillip.
But I'm gonna go with my number one pick being Another Evil. Now, this is a weird fucking movie, but I'm on a roll with weird movies, so might as well go with it. Directed by Carson Mell, starring Steve Zissou and Mark Prokish, he was Colin Robinson on What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show. Yeah, he is that. But he plays the character named Oz in this, and his family moves into a house, finds a ghost in the house. So they call him, Oz, to come exterminate the ghost, because that's what he does. He exorcises the ghost, but he takes forever. He doesn't seem to really know what he's doing, and he's more annoying than the ghost is. And the guy who hired him, named Dan, can't get him to leave. He plays an energy vampire.
Colin Robinson.
Yeah, who's an energy vampire on the.
Would you rather be haunted or have to put up with Colin fucking Robinson?
Exactly.
Right.
You guys haven't seen this, but he on the show. What We Do in the Shadows is an energy vampire. So he's intentionally boring. He's intentionally annoying. He's insufferable to be around.
Yes, and that's exactly what he is in this as well. And he keeps talking about out of his ass about how he knows how to get rid of ghosts and stuff. And the guy keeps trying to believe him because he wants to get rid of this ghost, but he's like, he has a harder time getting rid of Oz more than the ghost. And at one point, he's like, fuck it. I don't care about the ghost. Let it stay. Get out of my house.
So good.
It's kind of like a What About Bob scenario, but with ghosts.
I think that one's on Shudder too.
Yeah, so Another Evil.
Good pick.
Another Evil.
Right.
So 2016 for me, my honorable mention is going to be Don't Breathe. Obviously, I did like that one a lot. And like you said, I really sympathized with him until we got a turkey baster.
Yeah, and you find out what he's doing down there, and you're like, oh.
And honestly, I couldn't even forgive him in the sequel. They tried to humanize him in the sequel. I'm like, yeah, turkey baster. We're not forgiving you.
Yeah.
The first one is amazing, though.
I do like the sequel, but I agree. And what I like about the sequel is I can look at that movie and still go, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
But fuck the other guys a little harder. Because
Exactly.
What
they're trying to do.
I'm kind of the same concept as the first one.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't make him a hero.
A hero
like,
in that one.
Yeah, he's your hero.
I like the little girl a lot.
And at the end, he
yeah.
admits
Great.
he is no hero. So
Yeah.
that was good. That
and the cast of the whole movie was great. The cast did a great job.
Absolutely.
But my favorite movie of 2016 was supposed to get a theatrical release. It never did, unfortunately. It went right to Netflix. It broke my heart. It made me cry. It scared me. And that is Mike Flanagan's Before I Wake.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah, that one got delayed a lot. Mike Flanagan, like that one's so good and so scary too.
Yes. And
it's so heartbreaking because the kid can't control it.
Right. And you figure out what the canker man truly
you
is at the end of the movie. And
Yeah.
your heart is just shattered when you realize what the canker man is. And you know, the acting all along, you know, the whole ride you're on, such top-notch acting, even though Thomas Jane's hair looks fucking ridiculous. The movie is so good. It's so heartbreaking and so beautiful. So for me, 2016 is my favorite film of that year was Before I Wake by Mike Flanagan. If you have not seen that movie, I cannot recommend it.
It's on Netflix.
Yep, it is on Netflix. It's very scary, but it's also it's Mike Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan hasn't been a bad one yet. Like I mentioned earlier, Absentia is great. Oculus is great. He's on fire.
Yeah, he's killing.
Yes. So we will catch up with the chat real quick before we go to 2017.
Mud had a great piece.
2016 honorable mention Hush, Favorite Girl with All the Gifts, Don't Breathe for J-Dev. 2016 holiday horrors for me, The Barn, Terrifier, and Better Watch Out.
Ben, look how handsome he is. He's not a Care Bear.
Yeah.
Ben, you looking good, man.
Changed his thing.
New style.
Bullshit artist.
Conjuring 2 came out that year. See, that was a good year.
Yeah.
The only horror movie that filmed some scenes in my town is The Prowler. Yeah, but dude, Gavin, if The Prowler was filmed in my town, I'd be proud of that shit too. That movie's so rad.
Tom Savini says that is the movie he is most proud of in his career.
For his kills, yeah, they're epic, and that's part of the movie. Not saying the rest is bad, but those kills and those violent and that gore, the effects that he do are just
so good, so good. Jay says The Wailing is not only my favorite 16, but it's in my top 10 of all time. It takes a lot to genuinely creep me out. This film really got me. That's awesome, man.
That's great.
The last Hellraiser was shot in my town. They were asking for extras, but I had to work. Not a great movie, but it would have been awesome. Well, fuck yeah, man.
I would love to see it. I marked out hard when Lee showed up. Lee's shown up in a couple movies.
Stranger Things.
And what was the other one he was in recently?
What was the other thing he was in? I don't know.
Crap, he was in something else recently too. Oh, it was 13 Fanboy.
Yeah, 13 Fanboy.
Oh, 13 Fanboy was great. I just had the honor of talking to Deborah, and it was really cool to see how that all started.
I'm always excited when other YouTubers I know pop up in movies. Like in Scream, Dead Meat showed up.
Yeah,
it was really cool to see James and Chelsea. We freaked out in the theater. I was like, "Oh, that's my friend!" You know, like
I know,
so cool
right?
to see that happen.
Like a little family here. I get excited.
Cool dude pops up in a lot of the really bad horror movies that I watch, but I'm still happy to see him. I'm like, yeah, cool.
Right. And I do want to say here, Daniel also talked about Train to Busan. What is everybody's feelings about the upcoming American remake of Train to Busan?
I
want to say it'll be good, but I don't know.
It's hard because I mean, there's some remakes like Ringu, like that one. If you watch the original, there's a lot of things culturally that do not translate well to an American audience, and the remake did a fantastic job of making that scary for an American audience. I think Train to Busan works perfectly for an American audience. That's why it's so successful, and I don't think it really needs one. The other one that's getting a remake this year, I can't remember I think they're calling it Final Cut, but One Cut of the Dead was so great, and that's getting an American remake, and I just don't think it needs it.
Okay, and see, I'm torn on that one too because, I'll watch it, and I'm under the impression
I will watch it.
Just like any other remake, Child's Play, Evil Dead. Those are two just examples that I really, really enjoyed. But just because they're making a remake of it doesn't take away from the original. And maybe the American remake will introduce some people that had never seen Train to Busan to Train to Busan.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm not gonna hate on it until I watch it. If I watch it, it's a shit movie. That
I'm
doesn't
gonna
take away
watch
from how great.
Oh, yeah,
Train
I'll
to Busan
definitely see
is. So
And honestly, when it comes to foreign translating over, I'm a little more for it. It's like when the movie came out like less than 10 years ago and they want to remake it, but they're both American films. I'm like, what? Like, what?
Yeah. We get that
Especially
shit a lot
if the first
too.
one's good. But whatever.
So, and that's another thing that's just really a bummer, when they do that every 10 years doing the same movie. It's like, come on, give us some more original ideas.
There are so many things that, I
Shani?
mean, like, I still think werewolves are very untapped. There's a lot of werewolf stuff I want to see that I haven't seen. Witches are so untapped. Like, I want to see filmmakers get creative instead of going, well, that was successful, let's do that again.
Yeah.
I want more stories.
I think last year was a pretty good year for witches, though.
Yeah, but I
it could obviously still go farther. The vampires is so overdone in comparison, anyways.
Yes. Vampires get all the bullshit.
I've always been a big fan of witches too, so I get that.
Thank you.
Shaheem says, "Love Witch, Lights Out, and Split." Lights Out was a good one too.
Yeah, Lights Out.
Yeah, Lights Out. Especially the short
Parker, honorable mentions are Don't Breathe, Lights Out, Hush, and Split. Favorite was Conjuring 2. Ben says bullshit artist. I forgot all about Hush. Hush is another Mike Flanagan film.
That's true, and his wife is in it, and it's so funny because Rob Zombie always puts his wife and stuff, and I actually really do love Sherry Moon, but people always complain that she's in everything. When Mike Flanagan does it, they're like, "Oh, Katie Siegel's in it."
I just want someone to believe in me the way that Rob believes in Sherry's acting. That's all.
The best thing I've seen somebody that was like, wait till you see Rob Zombie's remake of Jaws featuring Sherry Moon Zombie as the shark, and it had her picture over there. Stitches is scarier than Art the Clown. They're both amazing, so that's hard for me to say.
It's so unique. It's so good.
I think Wrinkles the Clown, I think, is the scariest, even though he's real and not in the movie, but still, I like Wrinkles. Right. You can call Wrinkles, though. You can call him. He's down in Miami, I think, in that area.
Did you call him?
Yeah, I've called him.
A couple times. Gavin says 2016 is Better Watch Out. That was a great movie. The Changeling was filming where I lived. Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Scarface, Bad Boys, Ace Ventura, War Dogs. Oh, for sure, Daniel. You lucky bastard. The guy who did the cult segment in VHS2 doing the American remake of Train to Busan. Oh, yeah, okay. I'm hopeful. I'm with you. I'm hopeful it's good. And like I said, even if it is great or it's not, maybe it will introduce some people that never seen Train to Busan, the original. So there's always a positive. I'm over vampire movies. It's the new zombies. It all goes in cycles, man. Pretty soon it'll be Leprechauns again or some shit. It just takes one movie.
Leprechauns has never had their heyday, Ken. Like, come on.
I've actually just reviewed a recent Leprechaun, and it was awful. It wasn't one of the David Warwick ones. It wasn't even that. It was just some.
It's one of those things like when there's a witch movie or a werewolf movie, even if I think it looks bad, I'm going to watch it just because I think that's such an untapped area, and that's where I'm going to see stories I haven't seen before. Whereas with zombies and vampires to a degree, a lot of times I'm like, I might skip that one because I think I've seen it before in another movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of these things have been done so much that I'm like, I don't know if I really need to see that. But werewolves, I'm just like, it's so untapped. I'll watch it even if it looks like it might not be that great.
Well, I loved it in the 80s and the 90s. Like, straight to video wasn't necessarily a bad thing because a lot of those were still very original. But then once you get to the 2000s, the straight to video was like if there was Alien versus Predator, then there'd be Alien versus Creature, like straight to video, and it's just like, just like ripping off everything.
Right. You had Pause, which was the cat in the ocean.
Yes.
Yes.
Gavin says, I like Sherry Moon Zombie, but I'm scared for her to play Lily Munster. I'm really nervous about that anyway.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want it to be like the trailer trash monsters. That's what I'm
I don't know. If Herman drops an F-bomb, I think I might be out.
He is a massive fan of the Munsters. That is his biggest fandom. And so I want to believe because he loves it so much that he's not going to do it dirty. But on the other hand, he has this thing where he has to put people he likes in movies. And that doesn't mean they're necessarily a good fit for the role. I don't know. As much as I love Sherry Moon, I actually do love her. Lily Munster is close to my heart, so I don't know.
I respect Rob's casting for most of his movies because he picks a lot of old horror icons, then he'll put them in there. But I don't know if those people are really going to be the best fit for a Munsters show. But we'll see.
Right.
In fairness to his casting, I will say like Carolyn Adams is or Carolyn
Williams,
not Carolyn Williams. I'm drawing a blank on the original Morticia from the TV show.
Oh, okay.
That is my Morticia. I adore her. She is so funny and cute, but still kind of dark. But that doesn't mean I don't like Angelica Houston. They're completely different Morticias, but I like both. So maybe that's what it will be with Sherry Moon. Maybe it'll be different, but I'll still like it.
Yeah,
let's hope so. So we are now up to 2017, and wait a second, that will be Gory starting us off at 2017.
2017.
Okay, so this one was actually really easy for me. Very rarely do I see a movie that I think is perfect, and even on a rewatch, I'm like, it's perfect. This year, that was a no-brainer. But let me talk about my runners-up. I'm sure you guys have seen it. I thought that was a great remake.
What is it?
I'm not going to even get into this with you, Danny. I'm not going to get into this with you. Not until it comes. All right. And Happy Death Day, I really like. God, I'm drawing out blank on his name, but the guy who did Scout's Guide, the guy who did Freaky, I think he's really funny. He's doing a movie this year. You know how he does a lot of those, the horror version of Freaky Friday. Mm-hmm. He's doing Time Cut this year, which is supposed to be like Scream meets Back to the Future. So I'm excited. I think he's really talented. I also, one that maybe you haven't seen, Mom and Dad, people were kind of divided on this, but I love me some Crazy Cage.
Oh, Crazy Cage.
And this was a movie where there's
kind of super crazy.
Yeah, there's in this movie, there's like a radio signal that's making parents want to kill their own children. Not other children, their own children. And him and Selma Blair are so good in this. They're like scary, but still funny. And Lance Hendrickson's in it.
He's Crazy Cage's dad.
And he's the grandpa. So he shows up and he wants to kill Cage. It's insanity, but there's also like a lot of intelligence to this. I think there's some good themes in it. So I really liked it. But by far, no contest, Get Out. That is a perfect fucking movie. I think horror is one genre where you can take a metaphor and you can enjoy the movie for what it is. You can enjoy this movie as sort of a Stepford Wives movie. That's kind of what this is. These people essentially have something creepy going on where their servants and stuff are not quite right, and they are missing people, so you don't know what's really going on. You can just view it as kind of a weird sci-fi horror, and it's still entirely enjoyable. But if you want metaphors, if you want layers, Jordan Peele gives you that. And on a rewatch, this is so good. Like there's that line early on where he's like, "What's in the basement? Oh, just some black mold." Like it's so intelligent. Like I watched this so many damn times, and pitch perfect. He did not miss a beat. And I think what makes Jordan Peele so special with this movie is being a comedian. He understands timing. And I think the timing of a scare and the timing of a joke are very similar. Mm-hmm. You need to have that build up and release, and you need to know when it happens. And he is so good at doing the scare and then knowing when to do that release with a joke. And I think him being a comedian made him just a perfect artist to tell this story. The performances are great. You're deeply invested. It was instantly iconic. So, like, I love Get Out. I think it is a perfect fucking movie.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
I was nervous too. Remember, I saw the trailer, so I'm like, oh, that looks like it could be weird. Like I was worried. But no, it's so good. And my boy, his best friend, is so cute.
Anytime I hear a teacup now, I'm just like,
I know, right?
Stop it.
And that's
for sure.
That's a special movie to instantly ingrain itself in culture like that. Like that teacup is now iconic. Yeah. It is so hard for a movie to do that, you know? And that movie did it right out the gate.
I mean, I'm just saying, I would have voted for Obama a third time if I had the chance.
Hell, a fourth time, right?
And I, also as somebody who, like, I think that movie was, I mean, obviously it's made for a Black audience, but as a white person, who's like, well, I'm not racist. It's like, you can actually be racist even though you're not actually hateful. Yeah. And that's what the movie was about kind of like liberal racism. And it's like, it does teach you a lot of things. And I thought it was really good, and it handled it effectively without being preachy.
If you watch Key and Peele, they usually touch a lot on that subject, but use comedy to do so. Yeah. It was great that they effectively used horror to do so and Get Out. So I agree.
The thing about Get Out is it also gave you a much bigger respect for the hard work that the agents at the TS motherfucking A do, because and
partly the Oscars kind of showed it some notice too,
so much. I love it. Oh my god, I loved him so much when he shows up at the end. Like originally the ending was going to be really dark, where the guy Chris gets arrested, and he realized there was so much of that going on in the world that people didn't need that. Like that was too much. And I like that he respects his audience. I like that he knows that we're intelligent and we get it. We understand. We
you
got
can
it
actually
when it
watch
dropped.
that ending here on YouTube, and if you
Yeah,
have the
you can.
Blu-ray,
And it's on the
special features.
Blu-ray. But I think all of us understood where it was going when the cops showed up.
You're
That
like,
was
"Fuck."
enough. And yet, and he respected us as an audience and didn't need to preach at us. And didn't need to make us feel like crap, with a downer ending. He's still got to give us that, hurrah moment because he knows we care about these characters.
Mhm.
And I love when it's Raj and like he gets to end it on an upbeat note because you really do care about the characters in this movie. And
Yes.
yeah, it was nice. It was nice to have that release. Again, understanding comedy, understanding horror. He understood that we needed a release after all that.
And
Yeah.
just glad that the Oscars did show some love for horror that year. So
Yeah.
Oscars, right?
yeah, the Oscars did too.
They
but-
did.
but, yeah.
Oh, what about you, Danny? How's 17 looking for you?
All right. Well,
I ran
Obviously,
so damn much. I'm so sorry.
shout outs
guys.
to Happy Death Day. I love just Groundhog Day kind of shit happening when people dying over and over again. Get Out. It probably was the best that year.
It was Dan.
I don't know what it is,
Oh,
but I love it.
was.
It was.
Mhm.
Revenge.
You and Dad.
Revenge was really good.
Revenge was good.
Revenge
man.
was good. Mom and Dad as well. I'm gonna bring up my dog's favorite movie that year, The Lodgers.
Oh my god.
Our dog, like, for some reason, they never care. We're watching movies. They don't watch.
They
the TV. They
don't
don't
care.
care. One of our dogs sat at the end of our bed and just starry-eyed at the
Lodgers.
whole movie, The Lodgers. It's
If we tried to pet him, he like shook you off like, what the fuck? I'm watching The Lodgers, bitch.
he,
And we tried to move him out of the way because he's kind of no. He was like, no. He was dead front and center. He's never done that before, never done it since. And now we always make a joke whenever he's not interested in a movie. It's like, well, it's not The Lodgers.
it's a stupid movie about
It doesn't have enough Victorian incest ghost stuff.
yeah,
in it.
and Victorian ghosts incest.
I
That's
need
what
to
it's
show
basically
him. I need
about.
to show him Crimson Peak because I think it's totally his jam.
Yeah, I think it totally is. But anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Very respectful of you, Danny.
I'm gonna go with my runner-up, Victor Crowley, because my boy Adam Green.
Very
I love
nice.
him. He's like the nicest guy I've ever
He's
met
hung
in the
out with
business.
him.
Yes. I wouldn't say we're close friends, but I like him a lot.
They put
Yeah.
that at his funeral.
Yeah, I went. But yeah, it's got Carrie. Not Carrie. It's got Kane Hodder, Perry Shen, Felissa Rose, Laura Ortiz. It's just great. It's coming back with starting kind of a new trilogy to the Hatchet movies, which I
It
really
drops
love.
dong.
It does drop dong. It it's just
What we all need.
has some great kills. Felissa Rose gets a phone shoved up her hooch and out her throat.
Like I haven't seen that since Feast 2, and that was the opposite way. So
yeah,
like,
so
that
it
was
went
good.
the other way.
Yeah, I want to
Um,
see it all the way.
There's a part where someone is trapped in the plane that crashes in the swamp and they're just slowly drowning. And like the rest of the kills are so over the top and violent where they're funny. This one is like so drawn out and it's emotional. It's very effective. Like I'm just insanely sad that they can't help that person who is slowly like the water is just rising and they like can't do anything because they're trapped and they're pinned and the water's coming
Wow.
up. And I was like, wow, it's like it made me laugh, but it also made me really sad. So I want to say Victor Crowley is a great job by Adam Green. I can't wait
He's
to see.
so passionate about
Yes,
everything he
Adam
does.
Green loves horror and he loves to make you laugh too. I mean,
And he loves his fans too. Like if you meet him, he will talk to you like you're just part of his friend group. He is
Yeah.
a really cool guy.
and
Those are
just
the
like
best
Rob
people
Zombie,
in the
he
world.
does casting.
In
He'll-
fact, when you guys make your Evil Dead movie, go to Arioscope and pitch it to him. He'll
Yeah,
listen.
I
to it.
really will, because it's going to be a lot of fun with it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yep.
20.
but my
Yo, go ahead.
my number one for 2017 is The Babysitter, directed by Mick G. I don't know why. Like he mostly does music videos, but I
Well, he
love.
did the Charlie's Angels movies.
Yeah, he did those
He
too,
does a
which
lot
are
of
big, long.
supernatural.
True, but it is great. Samara Weaving is the first time I really got to know Samara Weaving because
adore
I
her.
kind of skipped Monster Trucks. I know that came out before this, but I skipped. I didn't want to see that.
I saw
It
it.
looked crappy. But Samara Weaving has been killing it ever since this movie,
Yes.
and I love that. It also had Bella Thorne as some crazy cheerleader, and had Ken Marino back from Bad Milo earlier. He's the dad,
And
and
Scooby,
yeah, Scooby.
who's also Fred in the live action Scooby Doo.
He is, yeah, and he's very shirtless in this.
You got it.
And
Got it.
Leslie Bibb, who was in Hell Baby and stuff. I don't know. I love the casting. I love how it's made and put together. Samara Weaving is fun. Even if she was running a satanic cult, she could be my babysitter any day.
She could be Harley Quinn.
she would. If they really want to step down and like get a new person to play Harley Quinn, Samara Weaving would be my number one choice.
Totes.
So
For sure.
boom. There you go.
2017 was kind of the hardest year for me.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with my honorable mention being 2017's It Chapter 1. I think
Nice.
that was a lot of fun. Very nostalgic for me because I grew up with the miniseries. So it'd be hard pressed for me not to say it. And obviously, my favorite from the year was Get Out.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much about that movie that's so heavy and so great. The comedy lands, and like you were saying, it really does take a whole lot with comedy and horror. I think that's why horror comedy is such my favorite genre, because it really takes the same amount of timing to be able to pull it off and make it work. Horror and comedy are so closely connected, even if it's not a horror comedy movie, because like you said, with the timing of everything. So Get Out is just one of those movies that really keeps me entertained from beginning to end. I've watched it numerous times. I enjoy it every single time I watch it. So Get Out was my favorite of 2017. What about you, my love?
Okay, so I have 2 honorable mentions. I really like the Bye Bye Man. I
actually liked it too, and the real story it's based on is very interesting.
Yeah, it's super creepy, intense. Like, don't think it, don't say it.
Yes.
Lots of goosebumps and terror, and I just thought the villain and his dog were super creepy. And then Get Out. I love that one also. Jordan Peele did a phenomenal job with it. The visuals of it were great. Just a unique, interesting movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to go with my favorite though from that year, and that was It. Like you said, the nostalgia of it, and I love the kids, and I thought they did a really great job with casting, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the miniseries was great, but it was so sadly neutered for TV, where I loved how they got to kind of let loose. And
Yeah,
Stephen King, you read his stuff, it's an R, so it was nice to see like a movie kind of be able to get edgy like that. And
right.
to kind of change it up on, instead of the 50s, it's the 80s, which we all grew up in. So, you know.
I like that he wasn't
that.
trying to be Tim Curry either. Like,
Yeah.
he made it his own, which I think was the right way to go with it.
Yeah, Tim Curry,
Yeah, 'cause
like,
I don't,
carried
he
the
can't be
miniseries.
Tim Curry,
Right.
like, obviously, but he did a phenomenal job.
Oh, Skarsgård did great.
And
Yeah.
honestly,
That's
I
right.
kind of like the way they go about it, because Tim Curry's, he's actually trying to be like a carnival clown. He's supposed to be kind of funny and like, oh, he looks fun. And so a kid is drawn to him. And so it makes sense. He's drawing you in so he can eat you.
He's more
Whereas
human.
Skarsgård, his idea was that this is an alien and he wants to do that, but he doesn't understand how to do it. And that's why he drools and stuff, because he's trying to do it. But his hunger and his real motivations show through. And so I do think he was scarier. But obviously, I think Tim Curry's would have been the more effective clown.
Yeah.
Right.
Me too. I completely agree with everything you just said, because as a kid, I would have walked right up to Tim Curry's Pennywise.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, if I seen Skarsgård, I would have shit myself and ran away.
Right.
So that's 2017. Before we get into 2018, let's catch up on the chat real quick. Jay says 2017 honorable mentions It, Get Out, but favorite was The Ritual. I did love that movie. And I
The
love
Ritual was good.
So good.
Well done, Jay.
It Chapter 1, Get Out, and One Cut of the Dead are my tops of 17.
Look at his jawline. He looking good, right?
For some reason,
So, and then Happy Death Day, Netflix is The Babysitter, Get Out, and It. J-Dev, It Chapter 1. Honorable mentions, Kuso Flatliners remake, favorite Raw. I've seen that came out.
Too much for me, dude. And I rarely say that. I love Greasy Strangler, so bravo.
T. Parker says honorable mentions are The Babysitter, Get Out, Mayhem, and favorite is Annabelle Creation.
Animal
Mayhem
Creation
was a
was
good one.
great.
Yes. Jay says Gory Werewolves. What's that?
I'm sorry. Go on.
Oh,
Just reading. Someone, T. Parker said that Samara Weaving should be in Scream 6. I agree. That's all I read that
for
out
sure. I can't wait to see who they cast for that. Werewolves as the main character in a new horror could be really good. Plot: 5G network begins triggering some primal small percent of humans, turning them into werewolf type creatures. I think that's already happening from what I've heard. Honorable mention: 2017 Get Out and It. Samara, there we go.
Yeah.
I fell asleep during the first 5 minutes of the Bye Bye Man. See, I really liked that movie too. Like, the only thing I didn't like is we watched it in cinema, and there was some dumb dickhead kids behind us that kept dropping coins on the floor.
Oh,
So
annoying.
I'm the guy that turns around like, "Hey, shut the fuck up!" You know, like I'm
I
that
wasn't-
guy.
I didn't
I've known
like
my wife
the
for 17
name,
years.
but
We got
overall,
3 kids.
That's always gonna ruin it for you. I still remember seeing 28 Days Later, and there was people like chucking aspirin at us,
when I went,
and they were like smoking weed, and it was just us with like one other group of friends.
I remember
Sucked.
seeing Sinister, and that like got ruined by the theater, but I still liked it. Bye Man for me, the only thing I really don't like is the name is so silly, but
I
once you
think-
get past that, it's a good movie.
I looked at the legend. It is based kind of on like a real legend, and I wish more of that made it in there because I think the real legend is actually really scary. I think some of the execution needed some work, but like Ash said the dog was really good.
Oh, I liked the dog.
I
a lot.
like the mythology of it. So I think a lot of it worked and it got unfairly hated on.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It reminded me of a mix between like a Nightmare on Elm Street and Candyman modernized. Like that's what I got
Yeah.
off it for sure. Shaim says Samara Weaving is my cult queen. I wouldn't care how evil she is. That's how charismatic to draw anyone to her side.
Yeah.
I call it the Night Man. That's awesome. Not gonna lie. Gonna have to go with Happy Death Day. Hey, what's up, Jake? Our buddy Jake. Glad I caught you guys even for a few minutes, man. We're glad to have you here.
Hey, Jake.
I'd love to see Samara Weaving and Scream 6, Jason says as well. So now we're up to 2018, and that'll be Danny starting us off this go round.
Well, I don't know if I like just found the information weird, but I have The Ritual for my runner-up on that one as well. It's very Swedish. It was filmed in Romania though, and
Swedish mythology too. Or
yeah, it's well, it's the
Norwegian, one of
Norse,
two?
Norse.
mythology.
The creature is Modar, and she's the bastard daughter of Loki, the god of mischief.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I guess this is technically the Marvel universe or the Mask universe, depending on how you want to look at it.
I'm for it.
But yeah, it's supposed to take place in Swedish. These guys go out camping, and just some really creepy shit happens, and the creature looks great. The director, David Brucker, he also, I believe, and him and the writer worked on No One Gets Out Alive, which came out recently. That also had a crazy creature that was made out of CGI and looked weird. I didn't like that movie quite as much, but I really enjoyed The Ritual. I thought
I liked The Ritual. It had some really good mythology.
and it didn't quite go where I expected, so that's why I really enjoyed it as well. And just guys in the woods, but kind of a new spin on it, and just great effects and great horror. But my favorite, Hellfest, directed by Gregory.
My
Plotkin.
cousin wrote that,
Oh yeah, I wrote that down in my notes. Her cousin Seth Sherwood.
and I feel like a dick
wrote
because
it.
I didn't put it on mine.
Remember that next time we hang out. I put it on my note, and I love Hellfest just because I just love those type of things. I love going to those things. We're actually going to be doing that later this year for next October. We're going to go down to the Universal Hollywood thing.
Our anniversary is in October, and it's our 10-year anniversary, so it's a big one. And I wanted to go to Halloween Horror Nights because I've never been.
Yeah, but it's very Hellfest. I almost forgot I was watching a horror movie. I was just enjoying watching the cast walk around through this like haunted house type theme park, and I loved that so much more than like I liked the character, the other, even though that's a dumb name. He had a cool mask, and at the very end, he has a nice little twist to his character.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, and it just had some cool kills, and I just had a hell of a lot of fun watching Hellfest. So
And I loved Hellfest as well, and I do like the twist at the end of who this killer really is. You know,
Yeah.
I
finally get a
love
little
that.
nugget at the end. It was a nice payoff.
Mm-hmm. So 2018 for me was again something very hard. This was again very hard for me. But my honorable mention, I have to go with Summer of '84. I had a whole lot of fun with that movie. And you talk about dark ass endings. I love the ending to Summer of '84. But my
Always looking
favorite, I
beautiful.
think everybody that knows me knows this is coming. Hereditary. That
Such a
movie
good
is so special to me. Yes, man,
You should
I
make
love
the
it.
dance move. The
Yeah,
kids
that's
can do
how
that.
Yeah.
that's how I floss. I don't know how the other kids floss. I floss this way. That's my
Right.
day.
Yeah.
I like it,
We
dude.
call this the hail payment. Hail payment.
Yeah.
Hail payment.
I like it. We can make this a thing, guys.
So, I mean, it's one of those movies that, yes, it's a scary movie, but it really is a drama at the forefront. And Toni Collette, oh my God.
Oh, love Tony.
Like-
Powerhouse in this movie.
Great and
Holy
everything in this movie.
shit.
Nailed.
But I mean, even Alex Wolff. Alex Wolff did a great job. Like, I love the classroom scene, like where he's raising his hand. Then he just starts
I
smashing his
cannot
head on
believe
the
he was
desk.
in the Naked
Like,
Brothers band back in the day because he's so good in this. I'm like,
I didn't
Naked
know.
Brothers Band, huh?
I didn't even know what that was until this movie. I like, what? What's a Naked Brothers Band? It's like weird, but then I found out it was not what I expected.
And
Thank
it's
you.
so every time you
The
think you
Blink
know where it's
182, I know what
going,
you're talking
it
about.
takes a hard left. Like it's so unpredictable.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Also, I'm gonna give it the witch seal of approval. Looks pretty accurate to me.
Yeah. And another thing I like about this movie is it's pretty much telling you the whole time what's happening, and you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
it's like Get Out. You go back and you watch it, and you're like, that was there the whole time.
Yes. Loved it so much. So my number one of 2018 is Hereditary. What about you, my love?
My honorable mention is Truth or Dare. I had a lot of fun with that movie. That smile.
His face.
It's creepy though.
Yeah.
It's effective.
Yeah.
Lucy Hale, I love her. I think
Our Pretty Little Liar.
Our Pretty Little Liar. I think she's amazing. It's just a fun movie. And then of course you're probably gonna know what my movie of the year is that year.
What, 2018? Oh, of course I know what it is. Halloween, right?
Halloween, yes.
Yeah.
I love Michael. Michael's my guy. And I really enjoyed that movie. I liked how, I don't know, I just liked everything about it.
Yeah.
I think that probably was the best movie. Like, if you go to my letterbox, I think I have that rated the highest. It wasn't personally my favorite, but I loved it. And I do acknowledge that it was probably the best movie that came out that year.
What frustrates me with that one is initially, I remember when it came out, everyone was like, oh, it's so good. And then once everybody was kind of unanimous and it's so good, people started like picking it apart. And I'm just like, can we just like stuff?
I think it might have been too good because when Halloween Kills came out, I was expecting just as good.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite, but oh well.
Right.
I do love Halloween 18.
Outlaw was great. I think Ashley knows what's up.
Yeah. High five.
I'm going to high five Ashley too.
Thank you.
Girl. All right. Ashley does know what's up because I'm sorry, Ashley, are you done?
I'm done. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My runners up were Hereditary, which that one kind of like grew with me over time because I remember I watched it and I was not sure how I felt about it, but it's one of those ones where you rewatch it, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And Halloween,
it's the same way, Gory.
Well, the first one.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I was like, it's a little slow. I don't know, but I rewatch it, and it's great.
Still lose your head over it.
Halloween, I thought was great too, and I thought that the filmmakers who made it were so passionate about it, and I'm kind of annoyed that the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre is basically beat by beat. Looks like it's going to try to copy that because I think what they did was really innovative and they did it out of a place of love. And I'm a little skeptical about this new Texas Chainsaw, but I think Ash summed up why that movie is great. So I'm going to talk about my favorite in the movie of the year. Now, preface, I do not think this is the best made movie of the year. This is just the one I watched the most. So I think, Ash gets me. We're like in the same thing. So this is You Might Be the Killer. And I love the origin story of this movie. So it's an author, and I follow him. I can't remember his name, but he's on Twitter. And he's having a back and forth with another author. And he's like, well, I'm at a camp, and there's all these kids. And they're going back and forth, and it's like a story, and it's building. And people are really invested in this. And eventually he's like telling him all these clues, like people are dying. And he's like, you might be the killer. And they thought it was like so much fun. The people were like, make it a movie. So that's what this movie is. Basically, so this movie, it's if you like Scream, if you like Final Girls, if you like that kind of movie, that's sort of what this is. You have Allison Hannigan. She works at kind of a nerdy, like movie store, video store. And she's talking to her buddy, whose friend Kranz, I think that's his name, from Cabin in the Woods. He is at a summer camp, and he's hoping to get with, his crush from the previous year. They kind of hooked up. And that's what he's hoping for. He's a counselor. And he's calling her up, and he's like, people are dying and stuff. And she knows horror movies. She's the Randy. And so she's breaking it down for him. And eventually she's like, yeah, you might be the killer. And that's kind of what's going on is there's this mask. And when you put it on, like you're kind of possessed by the mask. And you do slasher movie killer things. So he really has no control over it. It's really fun. High energy, just lots of laughs. Doesn't take itself too seriously. And it delivers on the bloodshed and the comedy.
But very clever.
Very clever.
Awesome. So that is everybody from 2018. So we will catch up on the chat real quick. I like the beginning.
Play at Night was great, right?
Oh, yeah. I liked that one better than their first Strangers, honestly.
Yeah. The rest I could give,
Friday Night
Mandy, another good one.
I love
Hereditary, my top for 2018, followed by Summer of '84 and Overlord, which is like Wolfenstein in live action. Whoop whoop, Summer of '84, love it, love that movie so much. Strangers Pray at Night, Quiet Place, 2018, Insidious, The Last Key, Hellfest, and Lucy Hale's Truth or Dare. Like all memorable horror films, it tunnels deep into something unnameable and unspeakable, and violence is emotional as physical. Martin Scorsese talking about Hereditary, absolutely. Honorable mention: Hereditary, Quiet Place, The Nun. Come at me, I love that film, and Summer '84, but my favorite title in 2018 would have been Halloween. Antrim, I liked Antrim a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I think Antrim was really good. It was really fucking weird, but I liked it a lot. Lucy Hale's my favorite Pretty Little Liar too, and Truth or Dare isn't bad. It's a guilty pleasure of mine.
Oh, I found this. I was looking for this for Ash. So when that movie came out, they sent us like a promotional box, and it was for Truth or Dare, and they sent me like a shirt and stuff. But I actually have like Truth or Dare dice
Oh, nice.
on the movie, and we played it online.
We saw it in the theater. We had a good time.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
It really is.
Yeah.
Everybody, I'm loving all the Summer of '84 love here. Strangers
It's
Pray at
very
Night
like
is good.
kind
Yes,
of
it is.
the same vibe as Stranger Things.
Yeah, and what I love about the Strangers Pray at Night is I'll never listen to Bonnie Taylor's Total Eclipse of the Heart the same again. And our good friend Damien Maffei was in the Strangers Pray at Night, so I got a real soft spot for that movie because Damien's a good friend and one of the kindest dudes in the whole world. So it's really cool to see him get some recognition that he deserves.
That's
I
awesome.
like
something
You Might
else
Be the
as
Killer
well.
Story.
I remember he was in something else as well. Damien, he was in something else as well. Another horror movie. I can't place
He was in the new Wrong Turn movie.
Yeah.
He was in what was that one where they go to the haunted houses? He was the devil mask, where they go to the
Haunt.
Haunt. Yep, he was in Haunt. And
What I liked about sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to talk over you. What I liked about Strangers Pray at Night is my only issue with strangers is like you get so frustrated wanting them to fight back.
They never do.
And they never do. And you want to know, like, well, I know they probably would lose, but at least try. And in this one, they give them a really good fight.
Yeah, I like it when there's tension on both sides. Like, I hate when I don't care who wins, if evil wins or good wins. I just want
Evil dies tonight.
Yeah, evil dies tonight. I just want there to be an actual like at stakes. I don't want anybody to steamroll anybody. I want, I want casualties on both sides. I want people to try.
I love the Strangers too for completely different reasons. The stuff that's going on in the background is so creepy and it's so atmospheric. But as far as more of an adrenaline filled thriller, I think Strangers Pray at Night has got that.
Yeah, and I got the sack mask and it's autographed by the guy who was the sack guy.
That's awesome. Damien is going to be in the new Mutilator.
Oh,
nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that too. He's doing some great things. So we are up to 2019 now, and it took me a while to choose between which one was my favorite.
Yeah, it has.
2019 for me, the honorable mention is going to be Child's Play. I know I get shit for this. I love the Child's Play.
Mark Hamill's great.
I think
we love her. We love you. We're not going to ever shit on your opinions.
Exactly. You say you love a horror movie, even if I don't particularly love a horror movie. Anybody tell me that they love a horror movie, I'm like, I am so glad you love a horror movie.
Yes.
Right.
That's all it really matters.
I think the thing about Child's Play is it's just like The Nightmare on Elm Street. Nobody gave it a chance at all because of Chucky's so iconic. And what I love about this in comparison to some of the other ones, they didn't try to redo what Child's Play already did.
No,
they took that idea and they made it their own, and it worked for me. I really like the idea of the AI, and I'm really waiting for this Buddy Bear sequel. We need to make this happen.
Hopefully it will happen.
But we're talking about sequels, and my favorite movie of 2019 is probably one of my favorite sequels of all time, the sequel to The Shining, Dr. Sleep. I love this movie so much, and what I love about this movie is it could really stand on its own. You don't need to watch The Shining in order to love Dr. Sleep, but if you love The Shining, you can watch this to pick up on every single Easter egg, especially when they get to the overlook at the end. So Rose the Hat is one of my favorite villains ever. She is just so scary and so dangerous and so beautiful.
And I say this in the best way, that she is like an evil Stevie Nicks.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
That totally is. And Abra, the young girl that played Aber was
Very
so
cool.
great.
Oh yeah.
So good. So for me, 2019 is the year of the sequel remake. So I got Child's Play as the honorable mention, and I got Dr. Sleep as my favorite of 2019.
Awesome.
Nice.
What about you, my love?
My honorable mention is Z. That movie scared.
Z is so good.
That
What's
scared
C?
the
I actually
shit
don't
out of
know
me.
that one.
That's on Shudder.
Z.
Yeah,
Yep.
Z. It's on
Brandon
Shudder,
Christensen
and
directed it.
It's amazing. It really, like, the shocking parts are shocking, and like
The
it
bathtub.
legitimately, the bathtub part, it legitimately scared me.
Yeah.
What's it about?
Is your imaginary friend imaginary?
Yeah.
I'm gonna write
Ooh.
this down.
Yes. It's on Shudder. Brandon Christensen directed it, wrote it. And it's one of those movies, like I said, it's a is your imaginary friend imaginary?
Like
and is
Top
it
Gun
something
Track?
that can you pass your imaginary friend
Onto your
down
children.
onto your children?
Yes.
Kind of like in Drop Dead
So
Fred.
so it's definitely one where it's like, what's really happening here?
Yeah.
You know?
And it's very shocking.
Cool.
And
It's got a
scary.
great ending.
Yeah.
Great ending. Oh, I'm so mad at myself. Good job.
You might
I
watch
love-
it tonight.
Yeah, it's on
Yeah.
Shudder.
It's on-
I've seen it on Shudder, but I haven't watched it yet. So
Alright,
that's awesome.
Well, we
It's the
got
first
plans
one
when
of
we're
the
done
night.
with this.
That's the first one of the night I hadn't heard of yet, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
It's
gonna
very
watch
good.
And then my favorite from that year was Child's Play.
I knew it.
A lot of people shit on it because it's, not Brad Dourif and
I like Mark Hamill.
Me too.
but I just really like the relationship between Chucky and Andy. I think that how they took it and made it something different.
He's not trying to possess him.
Yeah, he's not trying to
Yeah.
He's
possess
possessive.
him, and
Take his
he's
body.
possessive, exactly. But I'm glad that they didn't, do the same thing as the original Child's Play. I'm glad that they made it something different.
You couldn't.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I really did enjoy it. I went and seen it first, and actually I was like, because Ken was like, I'm not
Yep.
going to see this. He was like, not going to watch it. And I was like, just give it a chance. You'll like it, I think. And he did. And yeah, so that was my favorite of 2019.
Because Child's Play was always my favorite franchise, and I didn't know that they were going to go into it with. I thought they were going to try to redo Brad Dourif's Charles Lee Ray, and
Yeah.
I love the fact that they knew we can't do that. It's already been done. Let's take it in a new direction, and that's what I love and respect about 2019. The only thing I really dislike about that movie is the look of the doll.
Yeah, and I think that's what you kind of judged its book by its cover.
I did. I looked at the doll and I was like, nope, I'm
You're
out.
like, I'm not watching this.
Fuck
Look
this.
at that doll.
That doll
He
looks
looks
dumb.
pretty stupid, but
Yeah. And
I-
I agree
I-
with the look, but
there's a great
But-
meme about that where it shows like people in a castle and they're rebooting Child's Play. And they're like, lower the bridge, but they're like, it doesn't have Mark, or it's like, but it's voiced by Mark Hamill. Like, okay, open the bridge a little bit. And I love that. I think the only way to really fix it though is just don't call him Chucky. Maybe call him Buddy.
I wish they would have. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
thing with
yeah.
it.
And it would be
It
a
was
perfect movie, I
fine.
think.
I don't think it needed to be a Child's Play movie. And particularly, my biggest issue with that is Child's Play is a labor of love by Don Mancini, who's been with it from the beginning. And if that movie had been successful, it could have prevented him continuing to make more movies or a series. And being that he's active in that franchise, that really upset me. It was so disrespectful to him. They offered him a producer credit, and he's like, "Fuck you and your producer credit. This is my thing." They should have just made their own thing and called it Buddy. That's what they should have done. That's the only thing that makes me angry about it. It's not a bad movie, but they were incredibly disrespectful
It has
to
some
the
great
creator.
kills in it. I love those kills. I just think because the only part of it that makes me kind of mad is when he's like, "I'm gonna name you Han Solo," and he's like, "Chucky, okay, I'm Chucky." It's like, wait, what? Like if it was just Buddy, because that's what he is. He's a buddy doll. I think I would have loved it even more. Just like, okay, cool, this is great. My only problem is the stretches that his name has to be Chucky. I'm like,
Yeah.
Could if we just call it Child's Play, but still be about a buddy doll and just call him Buddy? But other than
And that's
that,
even cooler. 'Cause like My Buddy Dolls, they could have just, just
Yeah.
owned that because I'm glad it wasn't successful just because I love the Chucky series. But I did like that movie. I just wish that they had worked with him to maybe do something that wouldn't potentially derail his career.
yeah, and I just think
I wish that they would have done like what you guys are saying. 'Cause that's what I said too when we first seen it. I said this should have been from the world of Child's Play.
Yes.
Buddy doll.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And
I get that completely.
yeah, because and you can make two different worlds. I mean, look at how many fucking timelines Texas Chainsaw and Halloween have. You can split timelines and not use the name Child's Play, and they can't make a Child's Play 2 because
And then
they
how
don't
cool
own
would
the
it
rights
be?
to that title.
Yeah, exactly.
How cool would it be to maybe have them merge, have Buddy and Chucky in a movie? But they basically cut him out of it, and they were really disrespectful to him. They didn't listen to him at all, and it's like, you can't do that to somebody who's actively working on a project like that.
But when we're talking about Evil
But
Dead,
it
how
was
great.
good. So don't get me wrong, I'm not shitting on your guys' pick. I think that is a good movie.
But like we were talking about Evil Dead earlier and how it was a great remake. Nobody was actually named Ash Williams in that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
There was a guy who
And
was
I
very
agree with you.
similar,
Like I said,
and then like the girl, like she like took up the mantle and even had the chainsaw and everything, but nobody was named Ash Williams.
And they worked with Bruce Campbell and Sam
Exactly.
Raimi. That's
So
the only issue I have with that movie.
But other than that, it was
But
good.
I did like
It
it.
had some really cool kills. I loved like the guy getting killed in the pumpkin patch when he's like doing his like Christmas lights and the lawnmower
Also,
takes his head off.
Like I said, Chucky is my boy, all right? This is my boy right here. So, you know.
this is for Tupac.
I love him so
Yes.
much. That was funny.
Stabbing the unicorn or
Yes,
whatever.
but and I would love, like I said, instead of carrying it on as Child's Play, I'd love to see a sequel just about the Buddy Bear.
And
Give us
that's the
Buddy
thing.
Bear. Give us Buddy Bear. I was very intrigued by Buddy Bear actually.
Yeah.
They put themselves in a position where either if they were successful, Don Mancini could not continue forward. And if they're unsuccessful, they can't continue forward. I wish they would have just worked with him because I would love a sequel to that movie. That movie was fun. They've already said they're not going to do a sequel to it because it wasn't successful. And that's why we got the Chucky series. But it just sucks that because of the way they went about it, it became an either or. I would love a world where we could have both.
That
Me too.
reminds me a lot about what's going on with Friday the 13th right now. And it's just like, can't we just work together to make
Yeah.
good stuff for
Can
the
we all
fans?
get along?
Well, the slasher craze is going to die, like it always does. And then they're
They
going
always
to
come
try
back
to then they'll do another Nightmare and another Friday the 13th, and they won't get the recognition because the slasher craze will be gone, and they'll blame the fans. And it's no, you guys waited too fucking long to do it. So yeah, I get it. So, Gory, we're up to your 2019.
That year, I had a hard time with this one. What I consider to be the best movie of the year probably was Midsummer. We saw that together. Great movie, a nice kind of homage to The Wicker Man. It was weirdly funny, but really creepy. I also loved the color out of space because I'm a big Nicolas Cage fan. He can do no wrong in my eyes. I just adore him.
Vampire's Kiss?
I'm not crazy about that one. But he was great in it.
Yeah.
I just think some of the things that they did for comedy weren't great. That's a story for another day. Anyway, I love The Color Out of Space. It's just a gorgeous movie to look at. If you guys haven't seen that, I'm also a big Lovecraftian horror fan. And what I like about that is it's not an alien or whatever. It's an actual color. And they picked magenta because magenta is one color where we can't properly see it the way I guess it's intended.
Yeah,
So that's why they went with that color. But yeah, it starts transforming everything around them, like the fruit, the creatures, the insects, their animals, their pets, their children. And I mean, yeah, it's got those Nicolas Cage moments where he's like, like squeeze the nipple or whatever. I can't remember. But he's teaching you how to milk a llama. And he's like, you got to like squeeze the boob or something. Like, he's so funny.
I want llama milk. I do. I want to try it.
But there are horrific moments because you care about this family. The wife has recovered from cancer, and like you feel the love between this couple.
And the daughter's a witch, like in a cool way.
And she's a great Wiccan. I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, there are some pretty horrific moments in here, especially if you have a family. I think this is going to hit home for you.
Yeah.
Like, at what point? Because he has a lot of moments where he's like, he has to potentially harm somebody in his family because they're infected. And it's like, where's your line? Like, when is the point where because you love them, you will hurt them?
Right.
To put them out of their misery. And it's so hard. That's his babies. That's the love of his life. What does he call her? His golden girl or something? It's so sweet. It's so sweet. I really love that movie. But my favorite was Ready or Not. One, you guys mentioned it before. I love Adam Brody. He is charming in everything.
So
He's a bad guy in Jennifer's Body.
Yeah.
I love Samara Weaving. That's the movie that made me really just fall in love with her. It's so interesting because it does it in a different way. I've seen these kind of movies before where someone's tricked into maybe a game, But what I love about this is these people are completely inept.
Yeah.
They're like, we have to use crossbows. We don't know how to use crossbows. Like, I love
how long
that.
has it been since they actually had to do it? Like,
I love
Right.
that so much.
like the one who's getting married was just a kid when that, like, the last time they actually had to do it. So it's
Yeah, and I love that you have all kinds of people in here. I mean, you have people where you understand, like, they don't want their children to die. It's not about money for them. They don't want their children to die.
Mhm.
If they have to play this game, they're kind of like Parker Brothers, this game company. And if you guys haven't seen it, they have to draw a card when someone gets married. And if it's hide and go seek, they play a lethal version of hide and go seek. If they don't do it, then the whole family line is eradicated. So there are people you sympathize with. They don't want their children to die. That's a very understandable place. I would be in that place.
Mhm.
You know, I love my family. And then you have people like Adam Brody's character who's like, maybe this needs to end. This is kind of messed up. This is, you know, built on something very horrible.
Mhm.
So it's interesting. You have great, interesting characters. And the fact that you can have these characters, you can disagree with them, but you can still empathize with them is something that I always like. Action-packed, tons of comedy, and unique. I love when I see something that I haven't seen before.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would
Great
agree.
choice.
Ready or Not was my runner-up. One thing I'm just gonna kind of add is that, you know, it's just fun because Samara Weaving is a badass. We didn't mention Mayhem earlier, but she was great in
Some of
that.
the chat mentioned it.
Babysitter was great. I want her to keep killing it in horror. Like, she can be Harley Quinn too. I don't care, but just
I
keep
adore her.
killing it in horror.
I mean, her name is Samara, dude. She's built for this genre.
Right.
And I was sold on this really easily, and I just wanted to do it. I think the reason though that she gets that card is because, like, even though they make a big deal about how she's marrying into money, I feel like she was actually marrying into love. You find out like all these characters, and they got Old Maid or some other like tic-tac-toe game or something that wasn't lethal, but you can tell that they don't really like their spouse that much. That they're just
they wanted the money.
There's money involved, there's looks involved, and all that stuff. She was genuine. And therefore, I think that's why the devil wants to make it hard on them, you know?
It kind of reminds me of You're Next in that way, because the girl genuinely likes the guy in You're Next, and she doesn't realize she's being completely fucking duped by this horrible rich family.
Yeah.
You know, and then she ends up proving that she's a lot more able to handle herself than they gave her credit for.
And I believe that, you know, her husband thought they would probably just get some card game and it'd be that. But when it came down to it, they had to hunt her. He was very wishy-washy, like he wanted to help her, but at the same time, he doesn't want to explode and stuff. So
Right.
it's great. Ready or Not was my runner-up. But my favorite for 2019 is Brightburn. It is
what a great choice.
Produced by James Gunn, directed by David Yarbatsky, and written by Brian and Mark Gunn. And James Gunn did Super earlier on, like 2009 or 2010 maybe. And that had Dwight, and this is in the same universe. Dwight from The Office, yes.
I know who Dwight is.
Rainn Wilson.
You're right, though. Everyone
Rainn Wilson or whatever. But that was where a guy wanted to be a superhero, and it had
Ellen Page.
Yeah, Elliot Page now, but at the time Ellen Page. And they went around just killing people mercifully, which is kind of like, it seems like the plot of Peacemaker nowadays. But like, it's just great. The Brightburn is in the same universe. It's more of a what if Superman was an evil sociopath.
Right.
Like, he doesn't start off evil, but he's a sociopath from the beginning. Either way.
And they kind of teased like Wonder Woman, some other people. I actually wanted them to make more
and
movies.
they like let you know that this is in the same universe as Super, so that guy exists as well. But yeah, it seems like James Gunn like really wanted to help make this movie. He didn't direct it or write it, but his family wrote it and he helped produce it because he just wanted an evil Superman. And dear God, help us all if that ever actually happened.
Like, oh God.
I was just having such a kick from watching this movie where this kid just unleashes
that kill with his uncle.
Oh, and the jaw dropping one where he breaks his jaw and like drops him in the truck. Oh,
I mean, I don't cringe much or look away with that one. Oof.
And it has Elizabeth Banks. She nails it as well as his mom, and she's so conflicted because she wanted a kid so bad, and she really loves him, but he's a sociopath who's killing everybody at this point, and like doesn't know what to do. And I feel so bad for her, and it just doesn't work out very well for anybody. But
no,
if Superman was evil, we'd all be screwed.
So well, her death alone was just brutal.
Yes, exactly.
So,
Oh, what a gut punch.
yes. So
Brightburn
before
was
we
mine.
get into our 2020, let us catch back up on the chat real quick.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah.
Hey, you got yourself a super chat.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Puppet Master remake for 2018, The Littlest Reich. Ready or Not, Dr. Sleep is a close second. Brightburn, another one. Dr. Sleep reminds me of an X-Men movie with people who have superpowers. I love, God, it's so good. Daniel says 2019 Haunt, fun and scary. Scary stories to tell in the dark. Like it more and more every time I watch. Great Halloween time movie.
That is a good one.
It Chapter 2, Child's Play, Zombieland, Double Tap, led my favorite, Ready or Not. The Lighthouse was a very good one.
I love Parker's profile picture.
I honestly might say Lighthouse was the best of the year. It wasn't my favorite, but I might have to say it might have been the best. It's got layers.
It's beautifully filmed and incredible performances.
And like, the seagull ending is just
yeah. Every time I watch it when they're dancing and stuff like that's one where I didn't like it the first time. I mean I appreciated it was art. But I didn't enjoy it the first time. And now every time I watch it, I enjoy it so much more.
And that's why it's not my favorite, but I still have to appreciate it. And if you told me it was the best, I'm not going to argue with you.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Happy Death Day to You and Us is another one we didn't talk about. Crawl, Annabelle Comes Home. Yeah. I would have liked Child's Play more if I didn't like. Yeah, I get that. Me too. The movie was great. See, I love that too. The Color Out of Space was awesome. That and Mandy are a perfect Nicolas Cage double feature.
Yes.
Hell yes.
Mm-hmm. Your mom and dad in there too.
Yeah, why not?
The Dead Don't Die is so good. Bill Murray is my favorite actor.
Such hilarious dry comedy. But I went and saw it in the theater. I had a great time.
Here's the thing. I'm British. I moved here from England when I was 10. And I don't know. I think I need to rewatch it because I watched that and I was pretty like having a crap day that day, but
you're British, but for some reason I get all the praise for the dry comedy on horror.
That's true. Maybe I was always meant to be American. Maybe. Don't die.
But I liked that. It was great. Yeah.
Would everyone be down for a horror film multiverse? Jason, Michael, Chucky, Pennywise, etc., all part of the same world, films in a serious fashion. I would.
Yes.
Originally, when they made Freddy vs. Jason, they wanted to incorporate like almost every character they could get. They never got that far. They managed to rope Ash in the comics.
Yes, which was awesome.
But they were hoping to have like a whole tournament of movies. Yeah. Just unfortunately, it fell through.
Like eventually, it was supposed to end with them like going to hell and having Pinhead go, okay, who's next? So there's more tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
But I would love it if it was done like the MCU where you could see bits of these other realities, these other stories, you know.
But there's so many like what if moments like Leprechaun versus Chucky or Ash versus Leatherface in a Texas Chainsaw death match.
Right.
But unfortunately, we never got that far.
And we own the Ash versus Freddy versus Jason comic.
Yeah, we do.
The whole graphic novel was so good.
Those are fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like so in the second part of the series where they have all the final guys and girls of the series like teaming up, and Jason's got that long, luscious blonde hair because
the blonde hair
stored him.
There's an author I really like called Grady Hendrix, and he kind of did a multiverse with one of his most recent books, The Final Girl Support Group, where they are not given the exact names, but they are taking fake names anyway. But you basically understand that one of them's Laurie Strode, one of them's Nancy Thomas, and they're in this support group for girls who have survived these horrible fucking slashers. And so like that was cool, and it made me kind of like what you're saying, like want this universe where they all exist.
Yeah. Right. I love how like in the old Universal monster movies, like they did have so many crossovers, like with Wolfman meets Frankenstein and all that stuff. And I just wish we could have gotten a lot more of that. But I mean, I guess they kind of tried with that Mummy movie, and that sucked. So
yeah, terrible. And Daniel, thank you for the super chat, buddy. We appreciate it so much.
Yes.
T. Parker says, not gonna lie, I thought Margot Robbie was Grace and Ready or Not till I saw the movie. Those two look so much alike anyway.
They really do.
So now, guys, we're at the final act now. We're getting ready to do our favorite films of 2020. Now, before we do this, I do want to remind you one more time, make sure that you hit that subscribe button down here for Gory B Movie.
Thumbs up.
Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button down there. We love having these guys here. And Horror Addicts TV down there as well for Danny.
This has been such a fun date night.
Yes, this has been so much fun for us, and it was amazing to hang out with you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.
If this is your guys' first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button for us as well. We'd love to have you along here with Sledgehammer Horror. So Our favorite
You guys
movies
are
of
thumbs up.
2020.
I love how much you and Ash genuinely love horror, and you're not pretentious about it. You just fucking love it. Like,
Yeah.
you guys are awesome. And
Some-
I'm so honored to be here.
We
Thank
go to
you
a lot
guys.
of conventions and stuff, and there's usually like the one person in the couple who's like, "Yeah, I like horror," but you can tell they like horror because their significant other likes horror.
Yeah.
You guys, we can
And
tell
then
you
there are
both like
couples
horror.
where you know they're like, oh, you like horror too? Let's get
Yes.
married.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's like
That's
us.
us.
Yeah, definitely.
Our first date was to see Tom Cruise's War of the Worlds. That was
This
our
is true.
first date we went on back in
Awesome.
high school. So
Yeah.
it's just, our love of horror started then and it's still going now. So
Our first date, we watched Summer Party Massacre together on VHS and Link,
Yeah.
Master of Fire.
Master of Fire.
Awesome.
that's so great.
That's why
hey,
we recently relate because they just redid Summer Party Massacre. We waited to our anniversary to watch it because it was
we loved it.
Aw.
It was good, yeah.
Yeah, we did. We enjoyed that a lot.
Thank you, Gavin. They appreciate it so much.
Thank you, guys.
Pennywise and Michael terrorized Haddonfield in the middle of the night. So many ways to go. Well, they were supposed to do a Nightmare on Elm Street Child's Play crossover and Child's Play on Elm Street, and it just never came to fruition. So, all right, babe, do you want to start us off with your 2020 list?
Okay. My honorable mention was Freaky. I love Vince Vaughn in that movie. I thought he did such a good job, especially because he had to play like a teenager, and the way he acted, and I thought he did an amazing job with that. And I had a lot of fun with that. We watched that a couple different times.
One of my favorite kills in any horror movie is in that movie with the wine bottle.
Oh,
yeah.
they actually
I-
won an Oscar. Like,
I think
Oscar.
what's-
I actually won for best death last year.
Oh,
What's impressive about that movie is he has a scene, because I mean he's a teenage girl,
right.
but he has a scene where he kisses
In the
her
back
crush,
seat.
and I never once stopped thinking it was Millie. He is so good at playing this role. I never thought,
Yeah.
why is this grown man kissing this teenage boy? It's Millie, and this is the guy she really likes, and
Right.
like he did such a good job. I never broke out of it to go into Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
And
And I think-
scene made us laugh.
Yeah, the comedy,
so hard.
the comedy in it really landed for me too. Like the part like that scene there was very funny.
The director's Christopher Landon, so he's producing Time Cut. I think you guys, if you like that movie, I think you're gonna like this one too, because it's supposed to be like a Scream, Back to the Future kind of mash.
Okay.
And we all
Yeah.
know how I feel about Back to the Future.
Right.
Back to the Future is my all-time favorite movie. All-time.
Where
favorite.
he's already covered Freaky Friday and Groundhog Day. Now he's doing
now Back to the
producing
Future,
at least
so-
Back to the Future. Which when I did my review of Freaky, that's exactly what I pitched. I'm like, he should have some sort of Back to the Future slasher film. Where
Right.
I don't
He's
think he
with
saw my
them.
review, but I mean,
I'll say he
Oh,
might have
I
seen
just
it.
want to say I called it. Called it. I called it.
He's a filmmaker where when he's a part of a project, I definitely pay attention because
Mhm.
Yeah.
he's not had a bad movie yet.
And then my favorite of that year was Come Play. I talk about this movie a lot. It's
That was based on the Larry short, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
remember that one.
The boy that was autistic that has a friend in his iPad.
Larry.
Yes. I love that movie. The end, it literally broke me. I talk about this movie on here a lot. But when it comes to like autism and stuff, we're really advocates for that. And I thought that the kid that played having autism did a phenomenal job. And I really enjoyed that movie a lot.
That
That's
and autism is very, very close to our family.
Yeah.
So it's something that the way they portrayed the kid wasn't over the top and it wasn't goofy. It was very, very real to autism. And
Mhm.
I think that's why it was so special to both of us. So
Mhm.
I
great
love
choice.
the short for that as well. The short film
I
that
agree.
came out before
Yep.
that. Love that as well.
Yeah.
It's, you mentioned you like the ending of that one. So one I would mention to you, you might have already seen it, but the original and the remake of Dark Water has a very similar ending.
Mhm.
So I think you might like that one as well.
Okay.
The original is a Japanese film, I believe. But
Yeah, I
the
think
remake with
so.
Jennifer Connelly is also very good.
Okay.
Has a very similar ending.
Right.
But I agree with you. My cousins are both autistic, and a lot of people kind of view autism as kind of like the Rain Man thing. And there's so many different ways that
Yeah.
autism presents itself. Like it's basically just kind of like a social disorder. So I have one cousin where when she was young, she was very, very violent. You know, some of them do that, you know, and she has a difficult time because of that. But my other cousin Emma, like, she's so sweet. We have tattoos, and it's because, if you can see,
there you go.
it's because she has autism, right? So she doesn't understand like social stuff, like, and like she went to her first concert, and I understood because I know how her brain works because you know we've grown up together. I'm like, okay, here are the exits. This is what you can say to leave this conversation without people thinking that you're weird, you know. And like she needs that. She needs it just broken down because with her condition, she doesn't understand that. And so like, yeah, I 100% agree. They did it really, really well in this.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So you want to give us yours, Gory?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I got all caught up and stuff. Sorry I talk so much. I'm so good.
No, we love it.
Yeah, it's fine.
I get excited.
No,
Yes, you just like you bring up good movies, and we want to talk about your guys' movies too.
I know. So, this was a hard year for me because of the pandemic. A lot of things got released at festivals and then released later on. So I'm gonna for my honorable mention, one, I'm gonna talk about Spree. As YouTubers, I think anybody who does anything online, whether you're doing YouTube, Letterboxd, this is one movie where they actually got the kind of the culture, the subscriber culture and stuff really well.
Yeah.
Like when you've been doing YouTube long enough, you get a lot of people who are like, you know, sub for sub, and you're just like, that's not how it works. I don't really give a crap if you subscribe to my channel if you're not going to watch anything, and if you're not going to enjoy it, then please don't. I want you to enjoy it. I put work into this because I want you to have a good time.
Right.
You're not doing me any favors if you're watching this to try to be nice to me. I'd rather you watch something that you enjoy. Life is short. And that's what this movie's about. It's like trying to be big on YouTube. And this guy finally realizes he's going to go on a killing spree. And it's so good the way it tackles things. And even one woman who's a comedian, at one point she breaks her phone because she's like, I'm going to break out of the cycle. And she still gets right back in. It's commentary on internet streaming culture, on internet video making culture was spot the fuck on. And I mean, as somebody who makes videos, like I was watching that movie and I felt complicit. And if a movie can make me feel complicit, they've done a good fucking job.
Joe Keery was awesome in that movie too.
So good.
Who was his dad?
His dad was David Arquette.
David Arquette. Can't kill David Arquette. Well,
yes.
You can, but
So yeah, that was one that I thought didn't get enough love. The Invisible Man, you guys all saw that. It was amazing.
Yeah.
For my pick, I'm going to go two ways because, like I mentioned, 2020 kind of made things complicated. So, of the movies I watched that year, I'm going to say The Hunt. The Hunt was so good, especially because we have such a divide between, you know, the red and the blue, the Republican, the Democrat, which, you know, it's frustrating. But this movie did such a good job of being like, yeah, extremes on both ends are fucked.
Yeah.
It's kind of that, you know, like that surviving the game, like hunting people thing, but it's so clever, so funny, and probably the most badass final girl I've seen since You're Next. The gal in it was in Glow. She is phenomenal. Just
Betty Gilpin.
Betty Gilpin,
She
yes.
was Liberty Bell.
But my favorite of actual listed, which is Ken's Rules, and I listen, is Psycho Gorman, which is one of my tops for this year. I love Psycho Gorman. If you guys haven't seen it, you can watch it on Shudder. It's kind of like E.T. if the creature they found was Odorous Urungus from Gwar. I guess. But and a lot of people's commentary on this is the lead girl is annoying. She's supposed to be the opposite of every Spielbergian child you've ever seen.
Like she's supposed to be an annoying girl.
She tells God that like she's, I don't need you. I'm better than you.
But these kids find a gem that lets them be in total control of this massive destroyer, horrible thing. And they kind of exploit it, and it's really funny. They make them join their band and do all the things the kids do. But I also love that she's kind of horrible for the reason that he's horrible, and that's why they become friends. Then you need to find somebody who matches you, somebody whose luggage matches your luggage, and they're both pretty horrible people, but their friendship is not horrible at all. It's beautiful.
Right.
There's also a part where he turns their friend into like this weird brain thing, and it reminds me of when Bill Paxton got turned into like a weird monster in Strange Weird Science. Yeah.
So it's so much fun, and I'm always a sucker for a killer soundtrack. This is what I rock out to in my car all the time. Great practical effects. If you watch the behind the scenes, the guy who did Psycho Gorman suffered for his art.
Oh yeah.
I watched this one a lot. It's a lot of fun, guys. So if you haven't seen it, it is on Shudder, and I highly recommend it.
give you an honorable death. Like I love it's like Power Rangers but heavy R.
Right. What about you, Danny?
All right, for 2020, well, I also had Freaky as my runner-up because it was great. Vince Vaughn was amazing as the Butcher. He had so many cool kills. Catherine Newton did a great job as playing Millie, but she did a pretty good job of playing the Butcher as well. I loved how like there's a part where she's like trying to overpower her like shop teacher, but now she's in a tiny body. That kind of shit don't work. So she's like has to spring it up on like change things up on the fly, and she uses like some quickness and stuff, and uses like Millie's body differently to kill him. I just love those little like details. Also, just like Christopher Landon, like I said, I wanted a Back to the Future killer, so I'm glad he's giving me one. I want to also just shout out The Empty Man. I think that was a very overlooked movie that was beautifully done. And it has like, it's almost like 3 different movies kind of rolled into one, but I love them.
And the mythology of that, because I know Ash likes Five-Eye Man. I think if you haven't seen that one, Ash, you're going to love it.
Yeah, check out The Empty Man. I think you'll like that as well. Also, The Invisible Man, because it was great. But I'm going to go with The Hunt.
Yeah, Ken knows what's up.
Which Gory talked about earlier.
That's the best.
Yeah. But Gory talked about The Hunt earlier. I love Betty Gilpin as Crystal. She was Liberty Bell in Glow. I'm a pro wrestler. I love Glow. It's great to see her in this. Hilary Swank was also in it as Athena. She was a great foil to her.
And she was in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, so that makes her instantly great.
And my boy, Glenn Howerton from Sunny, he plays Dennis. I fucking love seeing Dennis in horror movies. He was in the original Strangers, but that was before I realized Sunny in Philadelphia. So I think he did even better in this. And he's like, it's funny just because it takes up like something that happens where people hunt people, right? We got Emma Roberts as our first character that we think she's going to be the main character, but then they kill her. Her name was like Yoga Pants. And they kill her brutally pretty quickly in the movie. I'm not spoiling much. It's like, it's within the 10 minutes of the movie. And like, okay, she's not the main character, but I just loved it. And it was like, usually the right wing, you know, people would be hunting the left wing. They spin it. And it's funny because these left wings, they got in trouble because they said they wanted to like take some right wings and go out and kill them. And then they all lost their jobs for saying that.
Canceled.
Yeah, they got canceled by their own cancel culture in a sense. So the movie doesn't play favors. It doesn't matter. It's saying that both wings are wrong.
I think extremities in either one is wrong, and that's what this movie shows.
Exactly. And like, it's just funny because these left wings are like, oh, we're all badass. We're hunting them. And it's like, they don't know what they're doing. Like, and Glenn Horton, like I said, who plays Dennis in Sunny Philadelphia, he's a perfect example in this movie about that, where he's just like, I'm so gung-ho to kill all these people. He doesn't know shit about what he's doing.
Ready or not.
Exactly. It's hilarious. And I loved it. So I'm just going with The Hunt. Give it up for Betty Gilpin, and please bring back Glow, and at least for a movie, just to finish it, because it got canceled during pandemic, and they didn't like get everybody back together. But give us a movie to end it. Give us a movie. I loved the original Glow. I actually know Lisa Moretti, who plays Ivory in WWE. She was actually just in the Royal Rumble recently. She was a star in their real Glow, and I'm actually pretty good friends with her in a sense. Well, at least I used to be, not anymore. But just bring back Glow for one last movie.
How much does that movie make you crave a grilled cheese sandwich?
It really makes me crave a grilled cheese sandwich. There's just some great violence in that movie, but it's funny and I love it.
Well, man, this has been so much fun. Let me give you guys my 2020s real quick, and then we'll catch up on the chat before we let you all go. My honorable mention, Come Play. Absolutely adored it, but I got to talk about my favorite movie of 2020. And we watched this movie at like 2:00 in the afternoon. It still scared me. I think about this movie quite often. It's always on my mind because it did for me now as a 36-year-old man what The Exorcist did to me as a 5, 6, 7-year-old boy. And that is The Dark and the Wicked. This movie got me. It scared. And, you know, obviously my mother passed away, and watching the events of this movie, of her floating outside the window, and Julia's become a very good friend of mine who played Mother in the movie, and you know, I reached out to her just to tell her how much I loved the film after I'd seen it, and she became a very good friend, and she's such a supportive person and one of the best, most kind human beings you could ever want to associate with. And it's just, god damn, this movie scared me, man. Like, whether it's the finger cutting or, like I said, the floating or
When
the,
that guy goes back to his home where his wife and
that
his kids
hits hard.
are, that
hits
was
hard.
a gut punch.
Yeah.
the ending, so good. So yeah, 2020, my favorite was The Dark and the Wicked. So before we sign off, guys,
everybody.
what's that?
Mhm. Streaming on Shudder. Go check it out.
It
I
is
keep
on
pumping
Shudder.
Shudder. I love Shudder.
Joe
Joe Bob Breaks is on
We
tomorrow.
swear they don't pay us, but yeah, Joe Bob
don't.
tomorrow.
And we live tweet us. So if you guys want to hang out with us, we're on Twitter all day
Just
tomorrow.
hashtag Mutant Fam.
We'll be there. I'd pay a good amount of money to see a Scream multiverse where they bring back all the Ghostface killers and team up. That'd be so dope.
Yeah.
Honorable mentions: The Invisible Man, The Old Ways, Vicious Fun. After Midnight was so good. The Night House is amazing. The Stylist is so good. Joe Gavargazian is such an amazing.
The Stylist is so good. See, that's another one that's on my like one of the ones I enjoyed the most because I watched it this last year. But and also the short of that movie is so good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and Jill is she has such a great brain. Jill did an amazing job with The Stylist. Freaky was
So
good.
Mhm.
Top 5 2020, The Babysitter, Killer Queen, Come Play, The Invisible Man, and Unhinged. Freaky's on there. I didn't read that one because I'm an idiot. I would like to see a sleeping bag kill again that happened in Friday. Oh my gosh. Hell yes. One of the best kills.
It's actually
of all time.
my
There's
favorite part of Jason X is where he's just doing that
Yeah.
to the hologram.
Yeah.
He's slamming them.
Jason X so much is it?
T. Parker just brought up another really good one. Host. I think
Oh, yeah.
Host was such
Host was
Host
good.
was
Great.
great. Yeah.
movie.
Mhm.
And I hope that people catch on to what Host did with only having it just over an hour runtime. We don't need to have 25 minutes worth of filler, guys. Host
Yeah.
did
And
an
they
amazing
all
job.
their own effects.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
on their own end did their own thing, so I thought it was great.
Oh, Jason, you look a lot better than I do, though, and you're 42 and I'm 36. So,
I'm gonna be
everybody,
41 this year.
especially you, Gory, and you, Danny, thank you guys for taking the time out.
Yes,
Thank you
thank
for
you so
having
much.
us.
Yeah. Oh, wait,
This
hold
was
on.
a fun date night, guys. Did you have fun? I had fun.
I had a great time.
I forgot all about
I
the
had an
demo.
amazing
I
time.
feel like
Just
Ash
now.
and I are kind of best friends, aside
Yeah,
from the
we
deep
are.
dark
I can feel it.
Jason said, and just want to mention my favorite in 1997 was Scream 2.
We know.
Well,
Watching The
for
Dark
the
and the
longest
Wicked.
time,
Oh,
Scream
Daniel,
1,
please.
2, 3 were the top grossing slasher films of all time.
Yeah.
Scream 1, 2, and 3 in that order. 4 didn't follow with that, but 5 did really good. So I don't know. I don't know where the top grossing anymore is, but it used to be 1, 2, 3.
And they've already greenlit the sequel. It's filming
Yeah,
now.
Scream 6.
Yep.
There we go.
Daniel, please text me and let me know what you think of The Dark and the Wicked, buddy. I would love to know what you think. This was a fun one. Goodbye. Thank you so much for coming out, Gavin.
Yeah.
So everybody, as
That is
always,
so fun
thank
here.
you so
Yeah,
much.
really.
Don't go anywhere yet, guys. Gory and Danny, I want a couple more questions for you.
right.
Everybody else, thank you for coming out and being a part of the chat. I do want to let you know that our next live will be not this coming Sunday, but next Sunday. We'll be joined by Ryan 1988 and the Night Watch Zone to count down our top 10 favorite Stephen King films. So make sure you join us for that next Sunday at 7 p.m. So
Hail to the king.
yes.
Love it.
There you go. We had such an
Who is
amazing
that
time with you guys. And
woman in the chat. What?
I don't know, but I should marry her all over again.
Touch it.
all right, guys. Like I said, I'll talk to you guys here in just a second. Everybody else, as always, keep talking horror,
Stay where you are.
and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.